brand new purple light. Friends, brand new purple light. Friends, facts, brand new purple light. Friends, red and blue, purple light. Friends, facts, you can get to know the ledger, sacrilegious Sunday to melanin Monday. You can get to know the ledger, my love. Just open your third eye on Thursday. Lord, the food, the art, the clothes, the Vatican's getting exposed fast. We put the show on the road, you better stay on your toes. I was till the land, focused on the ego. Then I open my heart, let go of the ego. Grand after grand, we're stacking up these C notes. Facts, facts, yeah, we gon' put this shit on our backs. Facts, facts, we in your city, pull up where we at. Facts, facts, peace, love and light. Peace, love to the family. Peace, love and light to the family. Peace, love and light to the family.
These days and time, black man, is going to be the time that you have been waiting for. You came here for a reason. Whatever pressure, whatever adversity, whatever the fuck you feel, I don't know what you feel, but whatever you may be feeling is going to push you, and it's going to provoke you, and it's either going to make you or break you, similar to how pressure busts pipes or the shit makes diamonds.
Peace to the family, peace to you and yours. Peace to the family, peace to you and yours, peace to you and yours. Let me know how we sound on the audio. All right, let me do an audio check. Let me know how we sounding on the audio, ladies and gentlemen. Moors and Moabites, gods and goddesses, welcome to another episode of Melanin Mondays. You are now rocking with the best. Yes, this is your host for the evening, Brother Red Pillar, and I am joined by an ensemble, by a cast, by a group of distinguished gentlemen, and we are here for the Moorish Roundtable tonight. I have some powerful guests in the building. Before we bring the guests on to the stage, I want to do customary roll call. I want to do a roll call so we know who is in the building before we open up the floor for our distinguished guests for this evening. You dig? So without any further ado, let us begin the roll call. All right. Let us begin the roll call. We have Savannah, Georgia in the building. All right. Peace to Savannah, Georgia. We have Portland, Oregon. We have Hollywood, California showing up. New Mexico is here. Salute to New Mexico. All right. Salute to New Mexico. Salute to Savannah. We got Tampa in the building. DC is in the building. Baltimore is in the building. All right. Norfolk is in the building. Hartford is in the building. Little Rock. All right. Columbus, Ohio. Connecticut. Chicago's in the building. Tuscaloosa, Kansas. Nicaragua. Louisiana. Chicago up in this thing. Memphis. Columbus. Baton Rouge. We got Ohio. We got the east side of Detroit, y'all. We got Virginia up in this thing. We have Kansas City. We have Natchez, Mississippi up in here. Houston is here. All of the mound builders have returned. We are in the building. The grids of the mounds are connected, as you can see by the roll call. You dig? As you can see with the roll call, we are all connected. Salute to everyone. All right. Salute to everyone. Okay. Who else do we have in the building? We got Philly in the building. Rikers Island is in the building. Myrtle Beach is in the building. All right. Tulsania, aka Tulsa, Oklahoma is here. ATL is here. Jamaica, Queens, Pentecostla, all right, Mystical Philly, San Diego, Newport News, Philadelphia, Oakland, Greensboro, Hawaii, Tucson, Arizona. It's safe to say that the world is in the building tonight. All right. So salute to every single person in the building. Shout out to all of y'all in the building. We got Hawaii up in the building, Baltimore, Madonna, Georgia, Chicago, St. Croix, Newark, South Side of Chicago. Yeah. We are here. And I want to salute everybody in the building. Peace, love, and light. Like the song says, peace, love, and light. Peace, love, and light. Maryland in the building, Richmond in the building, the Bronx, Detroit, DMV, Kingston, Harlem. You dig? Yeah, the family is deep and I love it. Without any further ado, ladies and gentlemen, I don't want to talk too much because I want to spend as much time as possible with our distinguished guest tonight so we can have this powerful conversation. Without any further ado, let me open up the floor for our first guest. All right. This brother right here needs no introduction. We just did a show on Thursday and it's already going viral. You know what I'm talking about? It is already going viral. I'm getting emails, I'm getting phone calls. People even stopped me in the street in Atlanta to talk about the show that we did. This already a certified classic. And I'm bringing them back so we can have a conversation amongst our peers and our contemporaries and the younger generation. And it's very important. These are some very, very important days and times. And because we are solution based and we don't focus on problems, we focus on solutions. The best person to bring to you is the Grand Sheikh, Tarik Bey. Peace and welcome back.
Islam, good brother.
Islam,
Peace.
good brother. Yes, peace, love and light. How are you today?
Islam. Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum assalam. Indeed.
Shalom.
Yes, shalom.
Alaikum. Bonabot.
How was your strong in? How did your strong in how was it for you?
I'm feeling it, brother.
All right. All right, let me go ahead and open up the line for more of our distinguished guests for the evening. This next brother is also alumni on the platform. He's been with us since day one. You know, I'm talking about Philadelphia's finest, a global traveler. I would like to say, a world, what do they call that? A traveling man. You dig? This brother right here has been showing our family at home what it looks like to travel as a Moor. And I want to open up the stage for the traveling Moor, none other than the one and only Sabir Bey.
What up? What up? What up?
What up? What up? Peace.
Hey, what's
It's
up,
Hey.
man?
on.
Feeling, man?
Yes.
Listen,
All right.
I literally just walked in here, right? I didn't even have time to eat, bro. Like, so you know I must love you or something, because I really didn't even eat nothing. I'm drinking. I had to hurry up and make a protein shake.
Yes,
Oh,
indeed.
I
Salute to you.
door.
Salute. We'll have a break and we'll allow you to catch up on some nourishment midway into the show. We'll take a break and we'll allow everybody to get nourishment and to relieve themselves and to stretch, which is also, something that's required for the brain in order to get that good oxygen. But how are you doing other than that?
I'm good. I'm good. I've been
Yes.
listening. I heard what you said earlier, man, about the classics, and that was dope. I caught the part of your show, and you said go back to the what did you say 2000s of the classics,
Yes, the classics.
the 2024s. Y'all don't
And
people looking at the 2024, but look at the classics of the people who actually brought this information before the social media. What you said, that's
that was
valuable.
the best. That was the best. Yeah, that's the best form of the information.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
indeed. Salute, King. Let me continue to open up the stage. Our next guest is a good brother of mine, and we recently did a classic show where we broke down the conspiracy behind the roots we uprooted the Roots documentary or the Roots movie, and we showed how that was a complete plagiarized false depiction of our people that helped to cast spells and whatnot. This brother's been doing a lot of monumental work on Crumb TV. Also, he's been doing monumental work in the real world. All right. And I want to open up the floor and reintroduce to the platform and welcome back our good brother, MOI, Minister of Information. Peace. Islam.
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 Peace to the God. You might be having some audio issues, Mo. All right, we'll bring him back on the stage, no problem. Let him get the audio correct. Our next guest, ladies and gentlemen, man, this is we might as well be in Veterans Field out there in Philly. Our next guest also is a veteran of the platform, an alumni, another brother who I was studying before we even began this journey. One of the original light shiners and whatnot when it comes to this Moorish information. This brother, me and this brother have a lecture coming up on this Sunday. This is going to be a classic. Man, I look forward to this one. This is going to be an honor of mine. Ladies and gentlemen, we bring back to you on the stage none other than our brother, Grand Sheikh Sharif Anil Bey. Islam. Peace.
Islam to everyone.
Islam.
Yes.
Good to see
Islam.
everybody. Good to see everybody.
Indeed. Good to see everybody.
Apologies for my tardiness. I just got done teaching class. So.
No, brother, you're right on time. You're right on time. We are doing the rollout. We did the roll call.
Yes,
we're surrounded by our loved ones. We're surrounded by family. All of the grids are connected. All of the mounds are activated. You know what I mean? The family is tapped in. We're having a global conversation. They are very eager and patiently awaiting to hear from my esteemed guest for the night. You know, when we put the flyer out, it caused quite a stir, and it was yo, the timing was excellent.
No doubt, absolutely.
Timing is excellent. So
excellent. That's right.
Let me bring this last brother on stage, and we'll begin our dialogue.
Yeah.
All right. Good brother, Minister of Information, are you with us?
Yeah, I'm back.
Okay. Awesome. So I introduced you earlier. I let the family know that you are also a guest of the show. We've been doing some classics together. So, you know, we got to carry on tradition. We got you in the building. I want you to introduce yourself to the family.
Islam family. Again, thanks for having me on the show, everybody. So it's an honor to be amongst scholars. I want to do formality by giving perfect praise and honor to Allah. I bear witness that He is alone. He has no partners and no equals. I give honor to all the prophets of Allah. And I give honor to the Messiah, the anointed one. I give honor to the Mahdi, the guide. I give honor to the Mujinta, the reformer, who were all sent forth from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I extend honors to our prophet, the Honorable Noble Drew Ali. Thank you, family.
Islam.
Indeed, Islam. Indeed. So I want to get right into the conversation for tonight. I'm going to open it up with two questions from our esteemed audience, right? I want to let them open it up by asking questions that they sent me in emails. For the family and the audience, we will be doing a Q&A about an hour into our conversation. So if you do have questions that you want answered by this panel of experts, please feel free to write them down. And when I'm asking questions, you could write them down in the chat room and we'll be able to field your questions. Thank you. Our first question. Peace, Red Pillar, Blue Pillar, and the rest of the Notaledge Media conglomerate. I hope you find this question and deem it worthy of asking the panel. My father is from modern-day Ethiopia, and my mother is so-called German heritage American. Would I and others mixed like me be considered as Moors? Does any of the science taught apply? Please break that down if possible. Much appreciation and gratitude for your knowledge and platform, KPZ.
Beautiful.
The first person that can answer that, I want to hear from our good brother Taj.
Islam.
Second, Joe.
Remember, Germany was one of the last strongholds where the hybrid Europeans took over the empire. That was one of the last signals. If you want to know a lot of the contemporary Moorish history, learn some of the history in Germany, and you'll also look at it differently. And also look at what they refer to as Europe as being Iberia.
Right.
And they more or less use the more contemporary geographical term of Europe to hide the Iberian history. However, all persons in government and in secret societies refer to it as Iberia. That's number one. Number two, the nationality of the being would be that of the mother. And the mother would be German. And you know, when they're dealing with what you call the Naturalization Act, they may call her German American, but that would be under jus soli, not jus sanguinis. The question that is asked is an implied jus sanguinis question with a knowledge of the jus soli relationship. And so keep in mind, there's not a negative being German descent, but that's who you are. Your nationality is that the nativity of your mother.
Right.
Although politically, in many jurisdictions, they would deal with the issue of the father. However, that does not remove you from right of interchange with, i.e., the Aboriginal Moors. It does not remove you from that.
Right.
Hey, Pill, I missed Pill. What was that again? About Ethiopia?
Okay.
Because my phone went out.
No problem.
And also another point that must be remembered when they're making reference to Ethiopia. Also remember, collectively, we're talking collectively.
Right.
Ethiopia is included in the Moorish Empire.
Right.
Before the turnover.
Right.
So we have to look at modern day reconstructed geographical jurisdictional boundaries that did not exist necessarily 120 years ago.
Right. Indeed. So
this is again why sometimes when the hybrids are writing about, i.e., Moorish history, or even the Aboriginal people here who have been here for thousands of years, they will sometimes refer to the Aboriginal tribes here, also described as being the indigenous Phoenician tribes or first peoples. Sometimes you would see them refer to us as Ethiopian because of the blood connection.
Right.
But the implication is the political jurisdictional connection. And I think that's where the question has its root.
Right.
So what was it again, Pill? He said something about the connection to Ethiopia and the Moors.
He wants to know. He said, my father's from modern day Ethiopia. My mother is so-called German heritage American. Would I and others mixed like me be considered as Moors? Does any of the science taught apply? Please break that down if possible.
Can I make it very plain for you? And a lot of people, if he studied the Zegwe, most people don't even know what the Zegwe are. If he studied the Zegwe and made the connection to the history of the Moors, because if he studied the Zegwe, that's in Ethiopia, that would actually tie him back to the Moors. Like Todd said, it is Moors, but that part right there that most people don't talk about is the Zegwe.
The Zegwe?
Yeah, it's called the Zegwe people. And if you look it up online, I know some people like to go
Yes.
online. Me sitting with Ethiopians over the years, used to go to the Ethiopian Tawahedo church too. I used to have classes after the church, but they would sit with me. The priests used to sit with me, and I would bring this conversation up about the Ethiopians, because there used to be an argument with the Moors in Ethiopia. But if you go deeper into the Zegwe people, you would know the history and the connection between us and Ethiopia. It's the same. We are the same people.
Indeed. Awesome.
And interjection in support of what Sabir is saying. Sometimes they will refer to us as the Red Sea people of the ancient world.
Eritrea. That would be what people would say, Eritrea.
Exactly.
So
beautiful. Brother Sharif.
Yes.
Do you care to answer that for the good brother?
Sure.
The question? Yes.
Sure. I wanna come in line. Well, I wanna first rise giving praise to Allah and honest Prophet Noble Drew Ali, as is our custom. The question of the individual speaking about, he's asking whether he was because his father is Ethiopian and his mother's German, right? And he was asking the question as to whether he would be Moorish or considered Moorish. So from a more simpler perspective, I give honor to what was said before by Brother Taj and Brother Sabir. From a more simple perspective, we want to be attentive to the type of identification we're talking about. What happens a lot of times with us, because we're a people that grew up without knowledge of nationality. Understand the significance of that. No other people on the planet understand what that feels like. Prophet Noble Drew Ali said every nation through sin and disobedience has suffered slavery. Sure.
Right.
But no one has suffered ethnocide. You see what I'm saying? The collective removal of the collective memory of a nation.
Right.
You see? So everybody that did suffer slavery, they went in who they were and they came out who they were.
Right. They didn't get erased.
So other people have no concept of ever living life not knowing who they were except us. So we want to be very specific on the types of identification. So nationality is a socio-political identification, right? So follow me. We know that, like on page 3 of the Holy Quran of the Moorish Science Symbol of America, it says the industrious acts of the Muslims, right? These are the Moabites, Hamathites, and Canaanites who were driven out of the land of Canaan by Joshua. That's not a biblical reference, by the way. That comes from the Armana letters, which are actual 18th dynasty Egyptian records, right? Anyway, and they settled and inhabited that part of Egypt at that time, right? Which is now today North and Northwest Africa. And it says in later years, they formed kingdoms. Follow me. So these were different ethnic groups that later expanded into a singular socio-political groups. Nationality is socio-political identity, and therefore it can encompass, and often does, encompass different tribes, different ethnic groups, etc. Like in Italy, inside of Italy, you've got Calabrese, you've got Bambara, you've got Sicilian. These are different ethnic groups within the borders
within the state, right?
But outside of Italy, they all identify as Italian socio-politically. Get it?
Right.
So the term nationality or idea of nationality is very powerful because it's a means to unify groups of people, and in particularly the African diaspora in the West. So I say all that to say this. The brother's father was Abyssinian, right? Because it was named Ethiopia later. Okay?
Right,
so
Abyssinian before.
There we go, right. So, and his mother's German, right? So he's asking, what am I? Are you asking ethnically? Are you asking racially? Or are you asking socio-politically? If you're asking socio-politically, we would definitely say, yeah, without a doubt, a contradiction Moorish, because you fall within the context historically and socio-politically. Peace.
Yes. And my brother, Minister of Information.
I have nothing to add, man. They hit it right on the head. The social political affiliation was going to be my angle, and the brother did a great job on expounding on that. So
awesome. Next question that I have is from Dopest Classic, and the question is, how do I proclaim my nationality? And the second question is, by proclaiming Moorish nationality, am I pledging to be Muslim?
Good question.
Islam.
Islam. I'll let you answer that first, Taj.
First, I must state this, is that nationality is not founded in or determined by one's so-called creed or faith. It's determined by bloodline, pedigree, ancestry.
Right.
The fact that Islam is mostly or mainly associated with Moors is because it was the predominant creed among Moors. However, Moors are also what you would call Coptic Christians. We're talking original, which is also referred to collectively as Sabi or Sabian Moors, yes, which is the foundation of all the religions as a general rule, falsely covered up in modern times with the word Jew. That's really an artificiality.
Right.
The rule, general base culture is Saba.
Saba.
And so when you talk about Saba or Sabians, you also get from that the ancient Coptic principles that they refer to as seven or the Sabbath. However, just like all of the other orders of what people perceive religion to be, have been corrupted. And in order to really have a comprehension of the ancient principles that have been adopted around the world in all of the religions, you must know the basis. It's why Prophet Noble Drew Ali said, go back to that state of mind of your ancient mothers and fathers. And this is why you also see on the nationality card where Prophet Noble Drew Ali mentions all of the generally accepted religions, because part of all of that is Moorish culture. And until you really study, most people would be caught up in the mentality that we're all separate. That's not true.
Islam. All right. Brother Sharif, can you answer that question,
that's a beautiful question, right?
Yes.
I want to answer it in reverse order because I like his second question better.
Yes,
right?
yes. Indeed.
But so when he spoke about in proclaiming nationality, does he have to accept Islam as if to be a Muslim? Again, context is king, right?
Yes.
But also for the masses, context is usually a moving target, right? So I always try to stress context, and yes, I'm always willing to accept correction on matters of context, right? All right. That being said, there was a number of years ago, some of you may have saw it, some of you may remember it on Roland Martin. Roland Martin, on his show, he had Richard Spencer. Richard Spencer was, self-proclaimed
alt-right.
There you go. White nationalist, Christian nationalist. He called himself Christian nationalist, right? And during the conversation, Roland feels like he's getting him cornered. And he's like, yeah, I'm a man. I'm a Christian. Are you a Christian? And Richard Spencer goes, yeah, I guess. He goes, what do you mean you guess? Either you're a Christian or you're not a Christian. Like, what's going on with that? He's like, well, I'm a cultural Christian. He goes, what do you mean by that? What do you mean by cultural? Either you're a Christian or you're not a Christian. And so Richard Spencer goes, listen, right? Only until recently, he says, I'm of the mind that the Christian religion speaks to my identity. Boom, that's huge. We'll get back to that. He said, it speaks to my identity, right? Then he says, only in recent times, he says, like in the 60s or whatever, he said, has the idea of Christianity been associated with some type of morality. He said this.
Wow.
He said this. Right. So now Roland thinks he has him. He goes, so yeah, because under Christianity, you all enslaved us. And under Christianity, you did this. And under Christianity, you did that. Right? Richard Spencer then looked at him and said, so why are you a Christian? Now, here's my point. Let's go back 500 plus years to when our forefathers and mothers ruled Spain. Were there people that were practicing Hebrewisms at that time in Spain? Yes. Were there people that looked like us that were practicing Christianity during that time? Yes. The Mozarabic church. I'm sure our brother Sabir is familiar with that. The Mozarabites. But anyway, here's the question though, the key question. Who ruled Spain for nearly 800 years? Who ruled it? The answer we already know is that the Moors ruled it, and they brought with them Islam, right? So just like us today, we have the 5-day work week and 2 days off. Where did that come from, right? Just like we celebrate other holidays as part of American culture, but they come from a particular religious creed, am I right? Just like there are many of our people who never step foot in the church. Right. But will fight you tooth and nail if you say there's no heaven or hell after you physically die. Right. What are they, people? Cultural Christians. So when we say that there's divine creed or the divine creed of Islamism attached to nationality, that is the context. Does it mean that you got to go to a mosque or a masjid or this, that, or a third? No, it doesn't. It does mean that it's just citing a very, very strong and solid sociological fact. And that is cultural heritage grows out of the religious creed of a nation. Right. You see what I'm saying? Now, I'm going to be very simple about the brother's first question. How do I proclaim my nationality? You have to first learn it. So nationality and national identity are not the same. National identity is a part of nationality. Nationality is equality and character. See? It's one thing to know who you are and who your forefathers were. That's cool. How did they live? What did they eat? How did they treat each other? How did they interact? You see what I'm saying? It's these qualities that are nationality. And so to oversimplify, how do you proclaim it? You live the life. But you have to first know it to live it, which is the function of the Moorish Science Temple of America. Not to hide and hold these things, but to quote, and I used this before, to quote Lawrence Fishburne in The Matrix, the first movie, about his ship, the Nebuchadnezzar, to rise up to broadcast level and broadcast the pirate signal into the Matrix.
Brother Sabir, do you want to answer the question? I can't hear you. There you go.
Can you hear me?
I hear you now.
All right, I don't know what just happened. You mute me, bro. That's how we playing. It's like, let me stop. Mute me now, bro. So let me just and Taj, and I want to correct something real quick about the Coptic. It's not Coptic. All right, it's not Coptic. It's Tawahido, and I'll spell it out for y'all so y'all can look it up. It's TEWAHEDO. I'm gonna say it one more time for y'all to look it up. It's TEWAHEDO. It's called Tawahido. And Tawahido and Tawhid means the oneness. In Islam, we say Tawhid, right? In Ethiopia, we say Tawahido. It means the oneness. Coptic is something totally different. That is something totally different. So again, when you and the language is actually Amharic, or they speak Gittins in the church. Right. It's pronounced Gittins. So we got to put the right information out with people, because what most people are doing is getting information off of social media, off of YouTube. And I'm not disrespecting it, and I'm just sharing with y'all how it is. So sitting in these rooms with these people, and you understand the connection between all of this. It's called Tawahido, not Coptic. If you go look it up, Coptic, you're going to see something totally different between Coptic and Tawahido. Yeah. Two total different people. Shit, different. So it's called Tawahido. Second of all, when people say about claiming your name, how are you proclaiming your name? Is it going to a building? You don't go to a building for that. You proclaim it, period. You live it. You follow me? You live this. When I traveled, I didn't pay a dime. I didn't go to the Moorish Science Temple. I didn't do any of these things. I literally traveled and put on every document that I traveled. Internationally, I made it known. American Moor, when they asked me about my nationality. Everywhere I travel, my documents, on every document says Sabir Bey, and it says American Moor. That's what it's proclaiming. When my brother Yasin Bey, I never forget this, most was in DC. And the most powerful thing this brother did was crazy. We was backstage at the Kennedy Center. And he said, watch what I do when I get on stage. I didn't understand where he was going at. He get on the stage and he made it publicly known to internationally everybody. He said, when I say Yasin, you say Bey, Yasin Bey. I said, yo, that's the proclamation is right there. That's how you do it. It's not going to a building. It's not, you have to reach the people internationally so they can understand it. And this is why we need people, or what do you call these people who travel, who actually can make these connections with these people internationally. So it's not
like missionaries.
Say that again. What is it called?
Well, I said missionaries in terms of how they do it in their creed, but this would be what I proposed. I proposed the fact-finding mission.
Yes.
I was like, they should fund a group of Moors and allow them to go on a fact-finding mission to the 7 seas. Now that we got this new technology where we could all tap in and collectively get to see things for ourselves, because the reason why I said a group of Moors should navigate the 7 seas, a lot of people go travel. A lot of people go on vacation, like the passport bros. A lot of people go outside the borders of Northwest America, but they don't have the type of knowledge. So they don't have they're not looking, their perception is different from somebody who, whose lights are on, you know what I mean? They're looking for things differently. They'll walk past a monument and see something completely different than a regular tourist.
Yes. And can I see you to it, Pill? And I've been doing this. I've been going overseas for the past 9 years. Anybody know? I've been over there for 4 or 5 months when I'm traveling. I don't go there for 1 week. I literally be there for 3, 4, or 5 months. Unless I've been going with people. We only been on it for like 2 or 3 weeks. And there is a couple of other people, because Moors are not just Muslims. I sent you something. Did you get it?
I did.
Can you post that up there real quick? Because I want to share something with people. There's a book that was written in 1892. And it speaks about the Moorish Jews in here. 1892, the Moorish Jews, right? And why I'm saying it's because people who, like you said, who don't really travel what we must travel to understand the connection. So in that book, it speaks about the Moorish Jews. And this brother was a Moor also. I went to his statue, Mohammedi's. He has a hospital in Brooklyn, New York, named after him, but he was a Moor.
Yes.
There is another Jewish Moor that actually his name is, and I'm going to say his name, but it's spelled with a Y when you go there. His name is Yahuda ibn Tabun. It's spelled with a Y. I took and I'm going to say Yahuda ibn Tabun. Now, Ibn means what?
Son of.
Okay, so why would this guy, Yahuda ibn Tabun, be named Ibn? So in Granada, Spain, they have a part that's actually, one part was Muslim, one part was Jews, but they was living amongst one another.
Correct.
Right. Mm-hmm. So if you put the statue up, or if you go to my Instagram, you'll see me standing there giving a lecture right in front of his statue. His name is Yahuda ibn Tabun. So when you start traveling, you start seeing the connection between the Moors and the Muslims and the Jews. It's all the same.
Right. Mm-hmm. Even in Iberian Peninsula, they were living amongst one another. It was called the cosmopolitan community. Yes, the country of the Moors. I was in
mind you, I'm in Tangiers, right, where Barack Obama was at. Barack Obama went to this particular place called the Litigation.
Right.
In Tangiers, Morocco. And I'm sitting here, it's a whole wall of the treaties, his pictures in there. And I'm sitting here talking to these people. And if you was in this room, brother, it will blow your mind. Like, what is there? Right? So there was one book in a bookcase called The Land of the Moors, and there was one called The Country of the Moors. I bought The Country of the Moors when I got back, 1870. Right. This is the connection. This is why what you just said. I've been trying to get Moors to go overseas with me and travel with me. I've been there. I know this place like the back of my hand, but most can't go, and they're not being honest with themselves why they can't go. But you should go to the set, all these places to understand the connection, and then bring it back to the.
Right. Well, moving forward, my good brother,
interjection.
Yes.
interjection and correction. Just as Sabir is saying, when you're talking about the general creed of the Red Sea area, yes, he's correct. To Walido. The issue of Coptic is the general term that's used for the general philosophy of the whole area that actually extended even into the Western Hemisphere. And Coptic is actually a short of Hikupta, which really is determined in your modern world as Egypt. So even when you're talking about Egypt of the West, they're talking about the Sabian or the Sabian culture broadly, including the people, the customs, and the religion. Right. Coptic is not claiming to be a religion. It's the philosophies. And it's the short for Hikupta. Also, where you get the name Ptah, P-T-H-A-H, comes from Hikupta. And generally, in short, when they talk about the culture collectively, not just of what is extended from the philosophies as religion, but you're talking collectively as the people and the customs and traditions collectively is called Coptic.
Indeed. My good brother MOY, do you have anything to add on to the conversation and the question?
Yeah, I just wanted to add to.
Please do.
I haven't heard any. Hello,
your phone breaking up a little bit, King. Your phone is breaking up a little bit. We can't hear you clear.
Okay, is that better? A little better?
Yes, it is.
Try to move around a little bit. Okay, yeah, I just wanted to add value to it and put out the term Melkite Coptic Egyptians as who we should probably look at when it comes to the Coptic community is a Christian community, but the Melkite Coptic Egyptians are the royal priests of the Coptic community from the Council of Chalcedon back in 451. So that's the earliest version of the term Coptic, the Melkites, the royal priesthood. Just wanted to add value to that point.
Indeed. Appreciate that.
I want to throw another point into what I had mentioned earlier about
please do.
About the cultural piece again, and I want to give further honor to what Brother Sabir Bey just said about there being in Spain, Christians, Jews, Muslims, etc., practicing all, living together, right? That existed during the medieval era as well, as I'm sure you all know. Preach to the choir. The significance, and we acknowledge that openly and lovingly. The significance is that that I mentioned is that the overall overreaching cultural or social environment, right, was overshadowed by Islam. That's it.
No doubt.
It didn't mean that. Right. There we go. And so just like, for instance, here in America, right, we know core American values has nothing to do with color code race. Core American values says one e pluribus unum, one nation formed by people from many different old world connections. Now, we know that the Euro narrative hijacked core American values. And so today, right, what do we have? We have, and this speaks to the current environment now. What do we have today? We've got Eurocentrism as a proxy for Americanism. Now, we know that it's on its way out right now, which is why you see the rise of overt racial hostility as patriotism, the rise of Islamophobia as patriotism. You see what I'm saying?
Right. Mask as that.
As a matter of fact, the rattling of sabers against anything that is not WASP.
Right, right Anglo-Saxon Protestant.
There you go. And so this is the fight. It's a fight of narratives. It's a war of narratives. And so the point I wanted to bring up was the European evangelicals and the European white supremacists and the European Christian identity, because they're all the same. They all still play by the old world rules in this respect.
Crusades.
I'm sorry, say it again.
The Crusades are still going on.
Actual fact. So they're playing by these same rules to this very day. This explains why, no matter how many churches he belongs to, no matter how much pork he eats, They still called Barack Obama a Muslim. And no matter how many Christian principles this other man violates, they still call Trump a good Christian.
He's a Messiah to them. He's
Oh,
absolved of.
Brother, I'm sorry, kid. I'm glad you brought that up. This is deep, what you just said. There's a book called The Dogs of God by James Reston Jr.
That was a good read.
That book is crazy because he gives you he gives you the cultural and the social context of that day. We're talking 1477, 1478 in Spain. In other words, with the initiation of the Spanish Inquisition, right? With Torquemada. He talks about how what was talked about during that time, the things that were talked about during that time, well, guess what? The second coming, the coming of the Antichrist, and a Jewish conspiracy. This is what was talked about in Spain in 1478. Now, when they married, when the marriage of Ferdinand and Isabella took place, they literally called that the second coming.
Right.
Yes, they did.
So now we are on the cusp of the sacrifice of the 3 red heifers. We are on the cusp of the second coming of the Messiah that is being predicted over there. And, is it real? But at the same time, we had the birth of the white buffalo.
Sure did.
Okay.
And it's all related.
Right?
Yes. The culture was all over the world, not on one side. That's one of the things that people need to comprehend.
Yes.
And as the Grand Sheikh is getting across, one of our problems is that we keep looking at our pedigree and heritability from a so-called modern religious perspective, which should be altogether dismissed, not disrespected, but it's not related. And the people have difficulty separating them.
That's a good point.
Right.
Because what is at issue today, that's all over the world, is under the unum sanctum operations, which you call the Christian Crusades. That's still the unum sanctum operations, known as the U.S. democracy.
Right.
And the hijacking of all legitimate government systems and religions. You got to remember people's concepts of what they think Christianity is not Christianity.
No.
The Europeans' version is the Niceno-Constantinopolitan Creed operations for world conquest. Has nothing to do with spirituality whatsoever.
Agreed.
But presented as Christianity. Yep. This is why a lot of people, when they start studying the history, start rejecting Christianity. But they haven't been given Christianity in the first instance.
Right.
No different than most people don't know that Islam is a branch of Christianity.
Hold on.
It's the Sabian. And it's known by all scholars, but people's view of what they think the religion is incorrect.
Right.
Exactly.
Brother Sabir, can you add?
What's really at stake are who are the real and true Ab, that means descendants, descendants of the Egypt of the West, which you call America, because all Europeans under the unum sanctum operations are trying to make land claims and trying to genocide the people out.
Right.
And by people becoming conscious, it's becoming an issue.
Question.
And so in order to muddy the water, they keep throwing in front of the people's faces so-called religious beliefs, which are related to cultural norms or cultural influence, but are not the heart of the issue. The heart of the issue are the real bloodline Phoenici tribes that comprise the real Al-Moroccans, who are the real inheritors of the land of the Maghreb or the Western Hemisphere. That's at the center of the argument for world conquest, to complete the cycle of unum sanctum operations under the doctrine of discovery. The Europeans are now getting pushed back, and this is where your political conflicts have their root all over the planet. Who's the real heir?
Right.
That's
in this
the
conversation.
Issue.
Right.
The heritability, that's the issue. The fake
Yeah.
nom de guerres created under Carlos Linnaeus and Blumenbach mind control operations. That's where you get the branding systems, Negro, Black, Colored, Indian, stuff like that, to remove the principle of heritability of the true heirs, who are the Moors. That's why Drawler say, how do you make the distinction? Because Moors are all over the planet. He said, what? Moorish Americans, i.e. the Al-Moroccan Moors. That's the issue. The real heirs of the land of the West. It must be cleared up. That's the foundation of the reclamation of the lost estate.
Indeed, indeed.
That's at the root of the whole real conversation that people keep trying to avoid. So they interject religions because they know they've all been contaminated while people are arguing beliefs rather than the issue of heritability of the real heirs. I just want to interject that so that we keep our head clear. Because that's the real argument.
What I want to do is I want to add on to that conversation when we having this conversation about land and about heritage and ownership. This story that came out the other day was eclipsed by a nationwide cyber attack, right? Same day that this information came out, there conspicuously was a cyber attack, and you know that took over the timeline, but it didn't take away the fact that this story came out, right? And this verdict was handed down by the International Court of Justice. And what it basically said was that Israel's presence in Palestinian territory is unlawful, right? And that's very monumental just in terms of what it implies and whatnot. And, you know, just how that case was even won is very important. I would suggest that people really look at it. We speaking about the Phoenicians, we speaking about the Philistines, we speaking about the Moabites, the Canaanites, and coincidentally on their land right now, there's a genocide taking place of the what we would call the Mamelukes, the Ottomans, you know, the descendants of the Ottomans and the Turks and whatnot. These are the people who are on the land as of now. But I have seen when I watch Al Jazeera and other, you know, news channels and media channels, I see a lot of the melanated Palestinians that they don't show, what they would erroneously title Afro-Palestinians, and they will lie and say that those people were like the help and they came over there on boats when we know that those were the original quote unquote.
You're talking about the Abs.
Right, the Abs, right?
And so the Abs mean the first people.
Yes, the first, right?
Al and Ab is derived from Urdu and Persic linguistic form. And whenever you see the word Al and or Ab, AB, that means from the ancient. So you're dealing with Ab original, which supersedes indigenous. And so when you look at, when you do any research on pictograms or do any research on the peoples of Canaan, because what is called Palestine now is Canaan land, etc. They look like you look like you're in New York, except in jalabus. Now that's the truth. When we're talking recent, we're talking before the 75-year war against the Abs.
Against the Abs, right.
That's right. And so they know that the Abs are on this side and that side. And the pattern used to conquer Canaan and to change the map systems there was taken directly from their operations against us, which includes the Niagara Rebellion and the Trail of Tears and the issue of in Oklahoma at Tulsa. Those were the patterns used to conquer. In other words, that was the how do you say, the bogey used directly with the genocide, poisoning of the wells, and befriending the people, then killing them off, then stealing the land, then changing the map systems and changing the names.
That playbook.
It's a Zionist operation, has nothing to do with religion whatsoever. That's just used as a front. The same thing they did here with us, with the Negro, Black, colored, and with the War Department, with the Bureau of Indian Affairs, to create a paradigm to divide the original Phoenician people, tribes of the land, original Ab people. That's the truth. Same pattern adopted over there 75 years ago.
So the same playbook they running.
We were the playbook.
Oh man.
Under the Christian black codes, from codes noir adopted in all the corporate states of the United States. After they closed the Bureau of Refugees and Abandoned Lands, called commonly the Freedmen's Bureau.
Damn. Brother
So
Sharif,
if you want to know the politics that's taking place at North America under silent weapons for quiet wars, watch what they're doing in Canaan land. And they got the pattern because the test out was on us here who don't know geopolitics. And we really need to get real.
Facts. My good brother Sharif, I want you to add on.
There was a lot said there.
Yes.
And I can agree with a lot of it. One of the things I wanted to touch on was the previous thing really quick. You know, I agree in part with the whole thing of Islam coming from Christianity. I would more properly say the Sunnah was influenced by previous traditions of, you know, of the people of the book. But we say that Islamism is the old time religion, right?
Exactly.
Right. But what do we mean by that? What do we mean by that? Right? If we're to speak religious language, Jesus, Abraham, any of the prophets of old prior to Prophet Muhammad never gave a name to submitting to their higher self. See that? They never gave a name to it. We say that Muhammad is the seal of the prophets because not because he was the last, because he wasn't, but because he confirmed all the truth of all those that went before him. And he gave a name to obedience to the higher self. That's it. That's it.
Yeah.
He just gave a name to it. You see what I'm saying? Now, to the point that Brother Taj just made about the links between what's going on right now in the state of Israel and here, I agree 100%. Right? But this is the point I wanted to make. I want the listeners and the viewers, please, and I'm sure everybody on this panel will agree with me, please do not get caught up in this bipartisan nonsense. Do not get caught up in it. Because I'm going to tell you why. Because while, what we're looking at is the end of the two-party system. See, prior to the present condition, what you had was two different political parties, right, that say they want the same thing for the nation. They just have two different perspectives on how to get it. Okay, fine. That's over now. What you have now is one party saying that the other party is un-American and traitorous and therefore worthy of death. They're literally saying this now. So what you have is political violence on the table. We already seen it, and it's not gone anywhere. I had to say that. Now, the significance to me is this that we need to keep in mind, regardless left or right. Both sides are unequivocally behind European settler or what's the term? European imperialist settler states, because that's what the state of Israel is. But guess what? That's what European white supremacy did here in America, to Taj's point. You see? So they have to support European imperialism, despite the fact that it is being kicked out all over the world.
Can I real briefly just add on?
Absolutely.
That when my father was coming up, he told me about the rise of Marxism. He told me about the rise of Lenin and those red books that the Panthers were reading and how it influenced Mao and how the Viet Cong, who was kicking ass over there in Vietnam, they were also locked in with Lenin and the Marxism. He talked about the Bolshevik Revolution You know, all of these things, and it adds clarity to why Russia is such a boogeyman to America, what they represent, what their history represents, you know, what the Bolshevik Revolution represents, you know, with the rise of or communism and Marxism, what it looks like when they're going after the oligarchs, when they're going after the bourgeoisie, when they're going after the corporations and stuff like that. So when I see all of these things going down, I'm adding context to it. You know, I'm looking at, is it real? I'm looking at them as the ultimate imperialistic empire or regime. And when I see judgments come down from the ICC like this, and I'm looking at a lot of these nation states move towards authoritarianism, I'm saying to myself, it looks as if, you know, these different Christendom nations are you know, they're taking nationalism to a whole nother level. They're taking this Christian nationalism, these evangelical Zionists that are in different countries like South Africa, like in the Caribbean, like in Nigeria, because they have a large evangelical community. We see violence over there, extreme violence over there, that's based off of religions and whatnot, Muslim versus Christianity, and they're seeding it and feeding it.
Right.
Can I interject?
Please.
Now, and this is a reminder to you, and we've talked about this before, that we have to be careful about the spell casting that the hybrids have used here.
Yes.
Or like when you make, and we have to remind your students too, because this is one of the traps. We keep calling the European operations here America.
Right.
We're putting it on, we're taking their burden. Remember, the United States Corporation Company is not America.
Right, the USA.
It operates at America, which is our homeland, not theirs.
That's a fact.
And when we keep saying America, we're taking on the burden of the hybrid Europeans occupying America, who use their corporate entity known as, and last registry in 1925, being the United States Corporation Company operating at America. And they use America to keep converting or projecting the blame of what they're doing around the world on us, implying that America is the evil debtor. No, the United States Corporation Company, run from Davos, Switzerland, that has been promoted falsely since 1871 as the country, is the culprit. And every time we say America did it, we're taking on the responsibility of their corruption. And that's just a reminder. Number two, the political parties known as the Democratic Party and the Republican Party are the Cotton Whigs and the Conscience Whigs collectively, which have, since their convention here at Philadelphia, under the Knights of Columbus Ku Klux Klan oath operations, i.e., under the leadership of Horace Greeley, New York newspaper tycoon, coming into order at Philadelphia with the New York Times, which is their oldest newspaper, that took on the noble title of sovereign of the land, which is white man, that belongs to the Aboriginal people, implies God and ruler of the land, to get us to start calling them, since 1854, white man and American. And what that is a verbal displacement of our right to the land, and calling him God and ruler of the land, not knowing or comprehending linguistic, what you call connotative linguistic training, which was done deliberately. And so we need to stop calling them Americans. They're not. We are the Al-Moroccans. We are the Al-Moroccans. Stop claiming the occupiers being the Al-Moroccans. They are the occupiers at North America, the Maghreb. So remember, when you're talking about the theater, just as the Grand Sheikh was saying, this is all theater with the Whigamores, i.e. the conscience wigs and the cotton wigs, to keep us distracted, because keep in mind, the nations of the earth, recognizing that the Moors here have been so compromised that they are, how do you say, stagnated the right of reclamation of a state that Noble Drew Ali started. And so the rest of the world stopped buying the treasury bonds, leaned against the Aboriginal people here, 1862, that comprises the U.S. Treasury bonds, that comprises the foundation of the economic system at New York, from 55 Water Street to Wall Street, that has been sold to the rest of the world, that has become the reserve currency for the rest of the world. And if they don't fix this thing, they all collapse too. This is why the rest of the world stopped buying the U.S. Treasury bond. So we need to recognize, just like the Grand Sheikh said, don't get distracted by them Whigamores, because they're not Moors, even though they've been wearing wigs pretending to be Moors. We got to get our concepts straight. Yield the floor.
We definitely do, Taj. And this is why I have an issue with people. And Pill, I hear people, even some Moors, using this term white supremacy. I don't like that term. Because if I ask everybody on this panel right now, do anyone on this panel feel inferior? Every last one of you going to say no. If we are Moors and we're saying these people are white supremacists, then we're still saying white people. If we know that that's not who they are, why do we?
It don't apply to them. It applies to you.
But this is I'm talking about, Taj. I'm talking about basic stuff.
No, I'm talking about the people. They don't know that those are caste terms. They think they're identities.
It's the people, Taj, because people, sometimes you could be here. I need to make it very, very simple for people. When we use this term, white supremacy, constantly, we are giving power to them. I don't feel inferior to no one. So it's not white supremacy. It would be better more to say inferiority than white supremacy. So white supremacy is a theory. It's not even a fact. So when we use that term, and I'm saying as Moors, we giving them more power. Regardless, I got the whole we white people. I got it. I hear that. But again, if we're talking white supremacy, we're talking about general terms. They're not white people. That is the key. We're using the word white. A lot of
the operations is the hybrid European hegemony operations of unum sanctum. That's the proper political designation.
Most people don't know even what unum sanctum is. So when we're speaking to people, generally, I guarantee we do a survey, most people don't know what unum sanctum. So sometimes hold up before you speak, we have to explain these things to our people on a level that they can get it. So if I say unum sanctum, just like if I make up something, you wouldn't understand what I'm saying. But you have to guide the people to these places. So when I just spoke about white supremacy, it's a theory. It's not a fake fact. And if you ask someone, do they feel inferior? They're going to say no. So when we say these things, because I'm reading the comments, Pill, I don't know if you're reading these comments, but I'm reading your comments. And I'm trying to address these things to these comments that I'm seeing in your feed, right? They're talking about Arabs and slave people.
Brother, hold on. You're on a panel.
I'm on.
No, hold on. Let me talk, because I'm the host of the panel.
Go ahead.
Your duty as a Moor is to come on this panel and to address the questions that are asked of you on this panel. You have no business in the comment section. Do not lose focus. We are here to do a job, my good brother. We're not here to engage with the comments. They're going to have a Q&A. I think in about 30 minutes, we're going to open that up. But right now, we got work to do. And there's 4 people here, and I need everybody to be able to express themselves. So the question at hand right now is about Gaza and the Palestinians as it relates to the Philistines and our ancestors who are the Canaanite and the Moabites. So our family understands, and you've traveled too. So I would love to know from you, being on the ground, brother, what is it really, what's going on over there in the Maghreb, what's going over there in what they call the Middle East? Have you traveled and seen Moors and Moabites over there that look like us? Yes. Are they aware of their history?
Yes. Let me.
Okay.
And I tell people this constantly. They're there. I've been to Turkey. I stayed there. I've been to a lot of these places, and they're there. No, it depends on how and what you're asking them. So,
Yes.
and I've been a big supporter of what's going on in Palestine or Philistine. People got
Yes.
me because I was supporting Palestine. I'm with Palestine. It's our people. I'm not separating my people from anybody else. But talking to these people over in these countries, you'll see people with brothers with locks in these countries, brother. Not people who went there. These are
Right.
people there. And then
Right.
in their houses, and I'm sitting with them, and you would sit up here and say, well, they got locks like this, bro. Like bigger than mine. These people did not come there. They was born and raised there. There are places in Tunis, it's called the Jarba, if I'm pronouncing it correctly. In North Africa, there is an island called the Jarba. And if you look at the people there, how dark they are. You follow me? So this is in Tunis. So when you go to these particular places, you'll see us there.
Right.
But use the term, as we would say, more. Like if you say more in these particular places, they don't know what you're talking about.
Of course.
So that's the English version of it, right? But you have to find the language of how and what they're using the term more. And I love J.A. Rogers' book, Nature Knows No Color Line, because he gives you the whole breakdown of different language. And I took that book with me. And I would book and say, this is it right here. You know, this is me. This is oh, yes, yes, yes. And when we just came back from over Morocco, I took Percy with me, Karen, and Sister Edna. Through the whole Morocco, they kept saying, y'all are the original ones. Y'all are the original ones. This is the craziest thing ever, bro. That's what we need to educating our people on.
No doubt. Indeed.
I said to you, I wasn't going to give everything up on here, didn't I? I said,
no doubt. Yes.
Okay. All right.
I want to ask my good brother MOY if he wants to add on to the question.
I don't have anything to add, brother, to that particular question.
Okay.
But I do want to stress the point of the good brother Taj. That's the exact same thing that I teach on my platform, is understanding the key points of history. How do we get into this gridlock? And we're really at a point where people have to take it upon themselves to do their own due diligence to understand these terminologies and understand these words, because he who don't know history is doomed to repeat it. So honors for Brother Taj for making those points earlier, but I don't have anything to add at this time.
Indeed, brother. I appreciate that. Okay. So my next, brother Sharif.
Yeah, I wanted to say something really quick to the point, and
Yes.
to the question regarding what's going on in the state of Israel, right? We all know that that the whole entire conflict was contrived. We know that it's contrived. We know that it began as a false flag incident, and that the actual objective is the eradication of the Palestinian civilian population,
The bloodline.
So, to clear the way for other projects like the Ben Gurion project and things like that. We know, right? And but even bigger than that, of course, we all know, I'm preaching to the choir, that the larger thing is, just like Biden had said a few years ago, he said the presence of Israel, the state of Israel, is so important to Western interests that if it didn't exist, they'd have to invent it, which is exactly what they did anyway. But the point being, why is it important? It's important because it is the anchor for global Euro neo-colonialism and imperialism worldwide. It's the anchor for it. Now, that being said, what we see going on over there, that's another thing I wanted to mention about not getting caught up with the bipartisan stuff domestically. Geopolitics, as Brother Todd said earlier, geopolitics directly influences the domestic sociopolitics in America. Directly, they're connected, right? By the nature of core American values itself. We're a nation made up of people from many other nations. See that? So it's automatically, right? There's a domestic effect to the foreign affairs. Now, that being said, look at what the state of Israel is doing to the civilians, because they're getting their behinds kicked by Hamas. That's why you don't see nothing about it, but you can find it online. They get their
Mm-hmm.
behinds kicked by Hamas. So the only thing they can do to give the illusion of victory, of winning, is to kill innocent
It's to kill
civilians.
civilians,
There
right?
you
Create
go.
shock and awe.
That's a fact. Now, let's look at what's happening here, right? You've got, and it's scary in a sense. You've got the far right saying that the number one political talking point is the border issue. That's one of the number one issues they say, right? Is the border issue. Oh, they're letting all these illegal immigrants in, and they're gonna allow them to vote, which we know that's a joke, right? But it's a thin veil for something else. And guess what? They're having success in selling this false idea even to our people. Oh, well, the immigrants are coming and taking your jobs. Hold on. The whole immigration thing and the border issue is a thin veil to talk about replacement theory. Now, when you bring up replacement theory, then they're going to say, oh, well, yeah, I was talking about the immigrants replacing, real American voters. That's a lie. The truth is, replacement theory is a white supremacist theory that speaks to the fear of the browning of America. I say all that to say this: we are not just tribally, not just from an ethnic perspective, but from an ideological perspective, the next Palestinians. What you see going on over there is what's in store for us here.
I would have to agree, because the way that the good brother Taj broke it down, he explained to us that the same type of persecution that the brothers are going through on their land, where their water is controlled, their electricity is controlled, they're being rationed food, there's embargoes on the way that they're basically under siege and whatnot.
Right.
But for the Moors in northwest of Mexico, where they basically have taken all of our estates over, and they control everything on the estates. They control our water, they control our quote unquote heat, they control the land. The same type of decisions that they're making over there, whether they decide who lives and dies, is the same thing that they could do if they wanted to here. If it got to that point, they could initiate that same type of pressure on this open air Gaza Strip.
To your point, and we can name a whole bunch of other things, but I'll be very brief. To your point, continued redlining is just a passive version of what's going on over there.
Right.
We just call it something different because it sounds nice.
The reason why I bring it up is because it is such a hot button topic in politics right now, and it has leaked into society. It took me a lot of years and patience to learn about that conflict and the history behind it. This current crisis that took place over there was a learning experience for me. I took the time to take a lot of deep dives, and now I know so much about those people, the Khazarians. I know so much about their history. I know so much about the mob that runs America, the banking mob. All of these things I've been able to learn over the past few months. So I got a positive out of a negative while being desensitized and dehumanized on my timeline and through TV, because even though I'm turning the other cheek and acting as if I don't see carnage on my timeline, it's still affecting me. That's right. It's still affecting me because it's affecting everybody else, and then everybody else is affecting everybody else. So we're in a very interesting day and time, and I'm going to pivot into my next question.
Brother, real quick.
Yes.
Can I suggest a book?
Please do.
And this is real quick.
Yes.
I'm going to suggest a book, and this is pursuant to what Brother Sabir Bey had said and what Brother Tarik Bey had just said. Get my good brother Tarik Berry's book.
Yes.
Unknown Arabs.
The Unknown Arabs.
Please get that book.
I told you this years ago.
Yes.
That's right.
Please
Look,
get that
before
book.
this show is over, we're going to do a book recommendation from all of the master teachers. I'm going to ask y'all for about 10 to 20 titles a piece, because the family that's in the building and those who watch the replay, they'll be able to pause it. They'll be able to take the content and do what they need to do. But that's very important. in this digital age that we live in, that we get some booklets out there, because the people need to hold some paper in their hands, read some books, you know, and get to this information, because, you know, that's where a lot of our answers lie. As we search for answers, this next question is going to come from the perspective of a 18-year-old, right? And this 18-year-old just woke up. They just learned about the Moors. They just learned about, they're just beginning their quest on Man Know Thyself. They're just beginning their journey.
Nice.
They're in the world in 2024 where they're seeing turmoil take place in the political arena, or rather the political theater. They're seeing turmoil take place inside of their musical culture, where there's hip hop wars and whatnot. They are seeing conflict take place in their neighborhoods, where there are gangs and whatnot. And then when they look outside their window, they're seeing conflict take place on a global scale with wars and rumors of wars. What would the best advice be from a Moorish perspective? I want to know, what will you tell this 18-year-old if they were to come up to you and ask you, what will be my plan for the next 4 to 5 years, from the perspective of a master teacher, a grand sheikh, and a world traveler, and a minister of information? We'll start with you, Taj, then we'll go to Sabir, then we'll go to MOI, and then we'll finish off with you, Brother Sharif.
Yes, sir.
First of all, make them aware that Moor is a short term, actually a short name for Al-Moroccan, which means descendants of Moroccans. The dialectical English term for Al-Moroccan would be American. When you say American, you're saying Moor, and most people don't understand that. That's the first thing they should understand. Second, they should understand, say, as an example for beginners, Webster's dictionary, 1828, in that area, and show them what the real American is. Then also take them to any unabridged dictionary, that's your older dictionaries, and give them basic, what you would call a third degree or third grade level grammatication lesson, basic grammar, elementary grammar. And they will see that Moor is a noun and an identity, has nothing to do with belief, has nothing to do what your opinion is. It's essentially a generalized name for all of the Asiatic African, you can't just say African, Asiatic right. African peoples, dark complexion, man, woman, or child, i.e. Black is a term that was placed on the Moors to remove them from the illustrious history, which is an adjective. And also the word black is Middle English, 1150 to the 1700s, and actually is Middle English, derived from Old High German, really means white spot, does not mean ebony, and it don't mean melanin. They need to understand, when you're talking black man, you're really talking about the Paleolith, i.e. the hybrid, heterogeneous Negro Yavera Areba hybrid, known as Roman, commonly known today as the pale-skinned European. He's really the black man, you're really the white man. That's the real truth from a political, non-genetic perspective. The other issue is that they need to study the Whiggamore Party to understand the political platform, so they don't get caught up in the jargon, just as the Grand Sheikh had instructed us earlier. The other issue is, look at hybrid Europeans now trying to tell the truth, because the middle class has been being dissolved. Also get what's left that's available to the public with Executive Order 11490, Rex 84, King Alfred, military operations against the Aboriginal people here in North America, known as Negroes, Blacks, Colored, Indians, Latinos, etc. This is the military operations, and they need to understand or have a knowledge of the real political foundation of the quote U.S., which is unum sanctum. Look up on your website and look up unum sanctum. Also, get some of the books that are available. This is elementary. Now, you have more advanced books that are highly expensive. So let's get them started on things that they can afford.
Okay.
David McRitchie, 1 and 2 volumes, i.e., Ancient and Modern Britons. Also, most of Joel A. Rogers' work, Nature Knows No Color Line, as an example. Make sure that you can find an older dictionary on etymology, an etymology dictionary, which would be a standard in your library. The older, the better, on the English language. Because remember, the language didn't belong to the Europeans, it belonged to us first. So stop accrediting everything to the hybrids. That's your stuff, so that you can break down and do cross references in timeline of dealing with different authors at different cycle times, dealing with linguistic translations from, say, like the 1600s on up to current events. So you're not deceived by the design connotative linguistics. So you want at least a 4th edition Henry Campbell Black's Law Dictionary of Ancient and Modern Jurisprudence, so you'll know a lot of the terms that they're using to steal the estates of the people of the land. You must also learn what land means itself by law. It means far more than what you think it is. And just for starters, I could give you a whole other list, but the scholars here have more stuff for you, so I want to yield the floor. But that will give you a good start to begin to clear your head so that you're not deceived by people on both sides who have different agendas that are not necessarily in the interest of the people. I yield the floor.
Okay. Thank you, my good brother. Brother Sabir.
Mine is very short, brother. Let me tell people this. And I'm going to tell this young brother this. Get a passport, brother. Travel where the books can't unlock it at. That's my advice for anybody that's young. I wish somebody told me this when I was younger, to get a passport, and you'll see something totally different. Your mindset will totally change. From a lot of stuff that people are saying here, what you're going to find in those books is not what you're going to find overseas, because the one thing I've learned in traveling, that language, by the time the language got here, they said it's translated. It's totally different. So
yeah,
my thing to you, my young brother, is to travel before you get caught up in having children. You got to go through child support, and you can't go nowhere. I'm just giving you an advice. So most of the people cannot leave. It's because of their passport or their child support issues. And I'm going to say this to all the brothers. Travel. If you're going to spend that money, $60,000, $70,000 in college, take that $60,000, $70,000 and travel to every country. Learn multiple languages in these countries. Most people outside the United States speak 6 languages or more, right? I think Paul Robeson spoke what, over 20-something languages? I mean, 20-something. So my advice to the young brother, yeah, he spoke over. So yeah, and
that's what they called us, polyglots.
Yeah, because this is the thing about Ibn Battuta, guys like Ibn Battuta or Avicenna or Averroes. These cats was traveling. These are people that we don't know in the States, but when you travel, you start learning about these people. Who was the first person of medicine? You follow me? What was the oldest university in the world? Most keep saying Timbuktu, but when you go to the oldest university, it's by a woman named Fatima Feta. It's actually in Fez, Morocco. If you look it up, the oldest university in the world. And I just came back from there again. So when I'm saying young people travel, and you'll start seeing these things for yourself, not what someone is telling you, and then look up, learn the language. I've met a dude, Brother Pill, when I was in Morocco, 22 years old. He said he spoke 6 languages, not because he went to school. You know how he learned it? Through tourism. I said,
tourism. Wow.
I mean, this is what I want people, these young brothers, to understand. Before you get caught up on having children, I'm gonna be real with you. And if these boys are being honest with themselves, they know why they can't go to these particular places. You know why. Because we are caught up in these issues of child support and all these other things. This is the reality. So, brother, go travel. Take your money. If you have 10 grand, 20 grand, 5 grand, travel. And you'll see exactly what I'm saying. Your mind will open up so much. So I tell people, get a passport. Get one and travel. It don't mean that they have jurisdiction over you. A passport doesn't mean nobody has jurisdiction over you. Once you become conscious, you know how to fill out the forms, coming through customs. You follow me? You will understand how this works. And this is another way, Brother Pill, that I was telling people how you make your stuff international. So when I travel on the customs forms, everybody got to fill them out. No, ain't no diplomat crazy stuff that people keep talking about. You have to fill it out. So when you
Right.
fill them out, I put down the American more. They ask you for your nationality, right? The other piece would be race, right? My children are put down as Asiatics as their race on their birth records. Not
Right.
later. This is what it is, brother. My children are put down as Asiatics, and I can stand on both of them. Because when my daughter, even when my son was born, they were trying to put him down as an African American. I said, no, I had to give the nurse, brother, a history lesson. And she said, oh, okay, I got it. The Asiatics, brother. See what I'm saying? So these are the things when you're traveling, these are the things you will get. And this is what and again, I'm going to keep stressing these things. Get a passport where
Right
books
on.
block it. Okay? Because books is written in English. I just told Todd Pill about a book called Africa versus America, right?
Yes.
Nobody know about that book, right? But the only way you're going to get the book is you pay $440. You know how long I've been trying to find this book for 4 years in Spain? It's called Africa versus America. And if you get it, you better be careful because it's only in Spanish and Arabic. But I have the English version of it. And
Right.
it a lot. So yeah, it's called Africa versus America. But yeah,
Thank
but
you,
that's
my
what
brother.
brothers to do, man. Travel the world, man. Take 2 or 3 years and go travel.
Thank you, King. MOY, please add on.
Yeah, brother. First thing I would say, just on the spiritual level, get to know thyself first. That's the first thing you need to do is know thyself before you pick up any of these books and this information, because it's just going to cause confusion if you don't know who you are. So study yourself. If you ask me what to study next, I'll say study yourself some more. So study yourself first. Definitely build a relationship with the Creator, whichever of your belief, and then just definitely tap in from the historical perspective. But
Yes.
Start right here in your own backyard first. Okay? I'm not gonna say, don't venture off and look off the front porch looking at Africa and everything over there. Start right here in your own backyard, which is the shores of North America. Start here first. Study the history of America first. That's just my suggestion. Um, I was led to study everybody else around the world, and I'm just found out the last 4 or 5 years that there's more history in North America than anything. So start your studies here in North America. Study yourself as far as the spiritual connection. Build that connection with your Creator, and understand government and politics. Okay.
Yep.
There's a saying in the More Science Temple. It says, according to science, black means death, but nobody tells you which science. It's political science or social science. Study those two sciences, brother. Are you on the
Right
floor?
on.
Yes. 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 Hold
Right
on, because
on.
I was looking for that line right there. Hold on.
Like
When
the
you was
grand
breaking that,
sheet saying, we can't fix elsewhere if we don't fix home.
gotta fix home first.
Get
Can't
ready
have
for war,
yeah,
boy.
That's right.
and leave home until you know what I mean? Can't have a broken home and try to fix the world.
That's right.
Sharif, can you add on, my good brother?
Absolutely. I think it was dope that brother Sabir mentioned Avicenna and Averroes, right? We studied those two gentlemen, not just those two, but we studied those two gentlemen intensely, right? They're again, even those names, Avicenna and Averroes, are anglicized names. Their real
Yes.
name was Ibn Sina and Ibn
Ibn.
Rushd, right? And it was they, among other things, it was they that brought even the knowledge of ancient Greek culture to the European. That's how the European appropriated it.
Yep.
If it
And
wasn't, if it
adopted it.
wasn't for it, right, if it wasn't for Ibn Rushd and it wasn't for Ibn Sina, they wouldn't have even known. Shout out to KRS. KRS spoke about that, about how, but he used the term Arabs, right? How
Yep.
Arabs revived ancient Greek culture and brought it to Europe, which is the fact, right?
Right
And
on.
remember, even Greeks of the ancient Greeks, that's a Mediterranean civilization. Half of the Mediterranean is North Africa. You know what I'm
Right
saying?
on.
You got to
Facts.
keep that in mind. Now, to the question, right, about what I would tell an 18-year-old. First of all, if you're 18 and your light turned on about this stuff, you're thrice blessed.
Yes, he is.
Because right now, 18-year-olds run around with their heads chopped off. We know, right? Now, this is the one thing I will say to that 18-year-old. The most important thing of the things that I would say to him, he already has half that work done in his head. Here it is. None of this is an individual demonstration. G up.
Right.
You got to G up. See, the Prophet Noble Drew Ali started a movement.
That's right.
This is not an information smorgasbord. See?
That's right.
And what happens a lot of times is that, especially with social media, we begin to take the movement as an information buffet. Give me that book, give me this information, give me that, and get a pat on the backside. And no, that's not how it works.
That's right.
I'm no more free than any of you, and vice versa. See what I'm saying? The Prophet Noble Drew Ali started the movement for the purpose of the uniting of the Asiatic nation in the States.
That's right.
You see what I'm saying? So even nationality is a means to an end. And the means is to bring us together. The means is to, for me, in a very real sense, to be able to experience Brother Sabir Bey's pain in Philadelphia as my own.
Right.
See, that's nationality. But guess what? That 18-year-old understands it, right? He just calls it gangbanging.
Right.
See what I'm saying?
Gang.
He understands that. So we have to honor that and then build on it and then just redirect it. So the first thing is build community.
Okay.
We gotta put it on the ground, people.
You got that right.
We gotta put it on the ground. We have to be able to walk into our ideas just like everybody else.
That's right.
See? So that's first. Second, right off top, like I mentioned before about let's not get caught up in the whole left-right thing. See, because even more, think about all the the RNC convention, that first day was like a BET award show, wasn't it?
It really was.
There's a reason for that, people.
Right.
There's a reason, because even more and more and more, the European has to ask you to help continue his idea.
It was a ceremony, right? It was a ceremonial ritual to show you what audiences they're pandering to, and what you know. It was like a season. It was like the beginning of a whole new season, right? The season opener. And the first day, as they rolled out different type of people or different type of little Moors or different type of vassals, they were showing you who we are appealing to in this new crusades or this new movement that we're building.
Come on, think about it. We're 98% consumers in this country with a spending power of 1.6 trillion every year and rising. You see what I'm saying? We're helping to keep this thing alive in more ways than just economics. But now, but I said, let's not get caught up into that. Why? Here we go. That book I mentioned before, The Dogs of God, James Reston Jr., he talked about how when we capitulated in Spain, in Granada in 1492, how they saw that as the beginning of their heaven on earth. We saw it as the end of the world. But now follow me. The old idea, the old world narrative of end of the world, we measure time in cycle ages. So we're not talking about the end of the world, we're talking about the end of that world.
Right.
We are now living in 1492 in reverse, people. It's in reverse right now. You see what I'm saying? So what we need to do is ride out the storm, so when the smoke clears, we're the only game in town. Prophet Noble Drew Ali said, store up 90 days supply of food.
Right.
In other words, sit it out. Let them fight it out, man. I ain't got no horse in that race.
That's a fact.
Right on, Grand Chief.
Yeah, I got no horse in that race. Sit it out. Don't get involved. Don't jump in that. Don't jump in the middle of the street where the two fat guys are fighting. You ain't got nothing to do with it.
Be in the middle, right? You wind up getting world starred.
Thank you, bro.
Right? You the monkey in the middle to get world star.
Look out your window, eat your popcorn, and whistle my melody by Rakim. See what I'm saying? There you go. Next thing, right? Build personal value. Build a skill. Build a talent. Monetize it. Turn it into a business. There's a reason for that. Think about what happened in the stock market crash, 1929, and then the Great Depression. Many people lost their shirt. We know that. But a few people who were thinking right got filthy rich. How did they get filthy rich? Because when the crash took place, a lot of the social norms evaporated. There was no ground under people's feet. But guess what? These few understood. If there's no ground there, we can rebuild the ground the way we want it. That's what happened. See what I'm saying? They realize when there's no rules, they can make the rules. See, in the religious talk in the book of Revelations, that's talking about the Son of Man. We know who that is. That's us. The Son of Man coming down with a government on his shoulders. What do we mean? We mean a new idea in his head for society. See? So that's why build your value now. Why? Because we're going to need it. See? And the next thing, establish international commerce or commercial ties. It's not hard. One of our brothers right now just recently came back from Bangladesh. They were pulling raw sapphires out of the ground saying, hey, can you help us process them? You see what I'm saying? This thing is real, people.
Super fact.
Okay, so you know this, brother.
Yes, I do.
You already know what time it is, right?
I better know it too.
Prophet Noble Drew Ali said it this way: one day, the United States is not going to be able to do any business except through the Asiatics. We see, he said this way back when we couldn't really see it. Man, we see the global South mobilizing. We see BRICS. We see it now. You can literally see the prophecy manifesting, and they're not doing business with anybody that looks like somebody who was colonizing them. See how that works? See what we're looking at now too, yeah? Like I said, we're looking at 1492 in reverse. It is the end of a world. It's the end of that world.
I see dead people.
Right.
Just make sure you have to on the beat, ho.
You stupid.
Pardon me.
No problem. We're seeing the end of their world. Not the end of America. The end of America as we knew it. So we need to be able to stand up with the smoke clears, because this real war of narratives, even here in America right now, that we're seeing, is a war to determine what determines the socio-political complexion of Americanism. What defines Americanism moving forward?
Right. And they did go on record saying that they were already engaged in a culture war.
Yes.
And they did go on record saying that this 900-page document that was put together by some of their think tanks entitled Project 2025 was going to be their constitution, which will help me pivot into my next question that I'm going to ask the panel. And then after that, we will take a 5 to 4 minute break, where we would encourage the family to stretch a little bit. And then we're going to field 3 questions from the audience, and then we're going home, right?
Yes, sir.
My next question and the final question that I have for my panel as the host is going to be, I want to get an answer from everybody on the panel. And that simply will be, in the next 3 months, because I don't want to give it the extent of 5 to 6 months, because we don't have that much time on our hands.
Right.
Project 2025 is 900 pages. One of the main reasons why I've done these shows where I am highlighting the Moors and I'm giving the Moors a platform. Tomorrow we have our good brother Abdullah Mosley Bey, and he will be bringing another Moor with him, and we'll be doing a demonstration on this platform as well. If you're not subscribed to the channel, family, please subscribe and hit the bell. Share this like you share rumors, and get the word out so this channel and this platform could begin to grow. Because of the days and the times that we're in, I'm going to be doing more shows like this, bringing more powerful panels together. As long as the family contributes and supports, then I will support the mission and whatnot. I want to know if I could get a commitment from each person on the panel that we will come together in a form of a think tank to put together, not as a response, not as a reactionary, but our own version of a Project 2025, where we are able to put some information and some solutions together that we agree upon, so our people could utilize this as a blueprint. And I will start with you, my good brother Taj.
For starters, take all fiat out the banks and convert it into hard assets, including get some silver. So like what the Grand Sheikh was talking about, so you can survive this rubble as it comes down. Keep in mind, the nations of the world are dumping U.S. Treasury bonds, and they're going to be running the banks and not informing the common people and you'll be the last ones, and they're going to steal all accounts. Because remember, all accounts or anything that you put in any of their banks become assets of the bank, and they are doing it right now, bailing in. So when you start seeing these glitches, it's not accidental. They're bailing in. Now, keep in mind, like the prophet has said, put some, for those of you who know the fundamentals of housekeeping, start canning food, start putting some water away, use the available technology for sun energy transfer, for energy for temporary, knowing this stuff is going to be deliberately crashed. And that's for starters. Then you get together with people of like mind and try to build some community communications, because you're going to need to. Like the prophet said, you need each other now, but you're going to need each other even more so after a while. And you're not going to be able to operate on emotional belief responses. You need to be also cognate, as the Grand Sheikh was mentioning, Sabir was mentioning, and I'm telling you, get cognate of geopolitics. It directly affects you. Don't be distracted by theater. Look at it, but don't be distracted by it. I yield the floor.
Thank you, my good brother. Sabir Bey, can I get an answer for you and a commitment? The answer that I'm looking forward is in this document that we will draft. What are some of the topics that you feel that you will want to cover and add on to as a solution?
Oh, bro, I'm gonna tell you this. I'm gonna be real. I don't even know about the commitment yet. I don't take when people say that like right now because I'm mad busy.
Okay.
You already know you can talk to me. You call me anytime and say, "Yo, Sabir." You got my math.
Wait. Let me clear myself up. This is not a personal project.
No, not
this is a hold on. Let me talk, please. This is a clarion call, right? In a day and time where we have millions of people who have benefited off of this information that we committed to. We've been committed. The commitment happened when you showed up on my feed in Facebook, MySpace days. You know what I'm talking about? And I was familiarized with the Philadelphia movement. It was around the same time that I met Brother Sharif. I met y'all guys through TV. It wasn't even an internet back then. Y'all were on VHS and DVDs, shining your light.
Come on, man.
Right? I met Taj the same way. And I know that we've survived and we've thrived and we made it to these day and times where our ideas and our personal experiences, the fact that you are traveling more and we've seen you go around the globe and whatnot, the people aren't, it's not me, it's the people emailing me and asking me for solutions and for resolution and whatnot. And they want the Moors to come together and deliver a guide at this point in time, not something that was written before. They want some new information, some new instructions. And I'm just asking you as a Moor, because I'm going to get a group of Moors to come together. And I want to because it's a group of Christian nationalists and Christian Zionists and evangelical Christians. It's about 300 of them behind Project 2025. One person didn't write 900 pages. They went ahead and got different plates and put it all together in one meal. So I want to know if you want to contribute to that.
And I don't mean to cut your wisdom. And the reason I'm saying this, brother, and I have to be blunt and straight with you.
Yes, sir.
All of these things was done before. Me personally, I read part of that document. I did a video on that document on my YouTube channel. And it's just something in me, brother. And like you say, we known each other for a long time. We had these discussions at the National Black Theater, right? We had these meetings at the National Black Theater. But the one thing with our people, and I don't want to discourage anybody, but again, for me to give that commitment like that, like we did it. It was
right.
Follow me. So it's always someone in. When Bam was doing what he was doing at the National Black Theater, look what happened. So all is coming together with, I feel you, but I'm not with that particular way of doing it anymore. You see what I'm saying?
Yes, my question to you is, can we take some of the works that you've already put together and
Sure.
add them to this binding document? It doesn't necessarily have to be something you wrote, but I want to bring together a lot of information in a cohesive manner to help the family in their guide in this because this is a beautiful walk.
Sure. If
So,
you contact me, brother, it's not a problem. But I have two new little ones, brother. So I have a responsibility. So
of course.
tell
Of
me,
course.
I'm just somewhere else in my space right now, brother. It's like you can, no problem, call me, and say, yo, Sabir, I want this. No problem.
Thank
But
you, King.
I've seen things happen, brother, in organizations. I'm not part of an organization, don't want to be a part of it because I've seen what happens in these organizations. You follow me? That's just me. I'm there for anybody who call me. I'm there.
Thank you. I appreciate you. My good brother, Minister of Information. Can you add on, King?
Yeah, peace. I mean, yeah, definitely. You definitely have my commitment, but I want to talk more about creating a curriculum-based situation. The, I think the guide would be great, but I want to help structure a curriculum base where we set up political teachings, and then as far as nationality goes, we walk them through everything. And I'm pretty good with creating curriculum, so
No, most definitely.
however you
Most
need to utilize my talent, man, I'm definitely on board with it.
See, that's your superpower, and that's definitely what I we need curriculum, we need that structure, and we need the instructions, that 1, 2, and 3. So I appreciate you. I look forward to
And,
building with you.
and
And
I want to add one more
please,
thing too.
yes.
What the good brother Sabir was saying, because I held some events back in Norfolk called the roundtable discussion. Where I brought out everybody from every the Masons, the Christian pastors, the Nation of Islam. I brought everybody out there, and I can hear his frustration because I felt the same way. Until I had to remember what Noble Drew Ali said, you're not going to be able to save everybody. You only can save a handful, even have fingers left over. So whoever this stuff reaches, whoever this stuff attains to, that needs to hear it, right? If you have a contribution that you can lend to the movement of anything we're doing, then I suggest everybody on this panel at least relinquish something, a contribution. If you can't give time, that's definitely understood. Everybody's busy, but contribute something, and you definitely have my commitment to as a contributor to whatever you guys want to do.
Islam, I appreciate you, King. My good brother Sharif,
Yes,
Neil
sir.
Bay, can you add on?
Absolutely. First and foremost, you could definitely count me in on an endeavor like that. I mean, as you put it before, it's like how the Oracle told Neil, right? You already made the choice. You're here to understand why you made it.
Mm,
We already made the commitment. You know what I'm
that's a
saying?
fact.
We already made the commitment. We made the commitment long before we could see the things that we were studying happening on CNN in front of our eyes,
That is a fact.
right? And so, and then to the point of, let's say, organization, I get it. Like what Brother Sabir just said. Oh, I get it. The more signs that me and Dr. West Muhammad had this conversation a number of years ago about how these organizations, themselves, just being a member, can really bring manhood out of you, but real manhood. You know why? Because they're a meat grinder. Because our people are crazy. Think about it. Think about it. Our forefathers and mothers fell 500 some odd years ago, not because we lost the knowledge of ourselves. We fell because we stopped treating each other like brothers and sisters.
It's so true.
This is what happened. See,
Yep.
we felt knowing
Mm,
full well who we were.
We
that's
got
a
hip.
fact.
But we felt because we stopped being who we purported ourselves to be.
Mm-hmm.
We beat ourselves. So here it is. Our heavy lifting today is the same as it was then. That's our work. I don't care how, listen, I got a bookshelf behind me and I got a whole bunch of other ones at the house. Listen, I can pull out all kinds of, listen, can I trust you with my children? Can I trust you with my money? You see what I'm saying? That's the high science right there. That's the high science. So, you know, from my perspective,
Yes.
we can't. And I see my brother MOI. You're a traveling man. That means you understand that beehive. Well, if we don't have the hand clasp of unity first, we can't enter into the house of labor together and get anything done.
That's right.
Absolutely.
You see what I'm saying? We can't do that. So we have to learn. Man, we got to learn to like each other. How about that? That's a superpower.
Mm-hmm.
We got to learn to like each other. Let's start there. Let's start with small things. Okay, let's work together on some things. Brother Sabir and I disagree on a bunch of things. We know, let's keep it a buck.
Right.
But that's my brother. So we, out of 100 things, we may disagree out of 99 of them. But if I'm a Muslim, I got to press hands with my brother and work with him on the one thing we do agree on. That's called Islam.
Facts.
See what I'm saying? I don't have a choice in the matter when it comes to that. That's my brother. So we're going to work together. However, in whatever capacity we're able to do so to uplift fallen humanity. If not, then one of us aren't who we say we are.
That's a fact.
See what I'm saying?
Yes, yes.
We have to have that, and this is just my personal opinion, but we have to have that kind of commitment to each other. We know these Europeans, half the time they hate each other's guts, but they'll join hand in hand to put a collective foot in our economic and social and spiritual backside.
As you can see right now,
come on,
they're forming Voltron, and they're doing it with smiles on their faces and eager anticipation for what the future holds.
That's a fact.
So we're here, not as reactionaries, but being proactive. I'm going to take a few minutes. We're going to take a quick break. I want to remind the family that we have an upcoming event. All right. We have an upcoming event on Sunday featuring myself and a good brother Sharif that you just heard.
Yes,
all right. The legend. And we are going to be doing Fear of a Blackamoor Messiah. That is on Sunday at 8 p.m. only on Zoom. All right. So please make sure y'all get your ticket. The tickets will be available in the description, and we're also going to drop it right here in the Trump. We have 10 free shirts, 10 free t-shirts that we're giving out. These shirts right here for the first 10 of the people who sign up. Our first 10 ticket holders will receive a bonus. All right. They will receive a free shirt courtesy of our sponsor, the Marked 125th. All right. So make sure you're one of those people who win a free shirt. You know what I mean? Some good drip. You know what I mean? One of the hottest shirts this summer. They Not Like Us. Okay. Yeah, definitely. Gotta, you know what I mean? Gotta get the drip out there. So real quick, we're gonna throw this song on. Get yourself some water, get yourself some air, and we'll be right back. Then when we come back, we're taking 2 to 3 questions from the audience. Get your questions ready.
Dark days loom, shadows rising slow. America's heart, now a puppet show. Streets feel colder, once was gold, now old. Liberty's torch, them stories left untold. Kids in the corner, eyes that gleam with fear. A dream once vibrant, now it's barely here. Politicians speak, but do they even care? Promises are empty, just smoke in the air. Empire crumbles, lines get thin. Policies bending, can't hold in. Corruption high, people sinning. Falling flags, the walls are caving in. Welcome to the Jason months. When in Rome, they lace your blunts. The neighborhood's forgotten, dreams buried beneath. American promises broken like teeth. Songs of freedom echo, but where's the fight? Truth gets twisted, left lost in the night. Hands raised and voices raw, tears stream from coast to coast. We chase the American dream, but it's sold out at a price too steep. In these Jason months, we awake from the sleep. Welcome to the Jason months. When in Rome, they lace your blunts.
Yes, indeed, ladies and gentlemen. All right, that right there is called a Jason munch. You know what I'm talking about? Mm-hmm. And let us get to these questions. I know our panelists have things that they have to do in their days, and we're not going to hold them up for too long. The first question that we have from the audience, and I'll ask it to each one of my panelists: should we use crypto to create our own free banking? I don't know how many people may be well versed in the cryptoverse or crypto and cryptocurrency, but if anybody on the panel has an answer for that question, please
Can I?
feel free
I'd
to
love to
add
jump
on.
in. I'd
Yes,
love to jump
please.
in on that. The short answer is yes, absolutely. But I have to qualify the answer, people. And I'm going to give you guys some hard numbers, hard numbers, right? These numbers were gleaned from a report done by a company called Metro Edge in Texas back in 2005, but the demographic is pretty much the same, so the numbers are still robust. Okay? Here in the city of Syracuse, in the county of Onondaga, they did a business viability study. In the whole entire county, the median income was $35,000. The maximum spending potential per square mile per day was $82.50. Now, listen, that was for the entire county. Now we're going to narrow it to the city of Syracuse, narrow that to one district in the city, the 4th district, and then narrow that to a neighborhood in the 4th district. This neighborhood today is now called the South Salina Trade Zone for a reason. I'm about to give you the reason. This neighborhood, right? Anybody who's been here knows that this neighborhood is the hood. It's the hood. Some of the poorest people in the entire county. But this particular neighborhood produces more revenue than the entire county. The median income in this neighborhood is $21,000. The max spending potential per square mile per day is $875. Let me tell you why. It ain't because our people are broke, because they're spending the money. Here's why. 2 out of every $3 we spend outside of our community. Let me repeat that. 2 out of every $3 we spend outside of our community. Without a socio-cultural cohesiveness that will insulate our money, it won't matter if we start a bank. So prior to doing that, we have to learn and put into practice the principles of community economics, right? Shout out to what's the brother's name? It'll come to me, right?
Dr. Claude Anderson.
Dr. Claude Anderson. Shout out to Dr. Claude Anderson. He and I had a conversation about this a number of years ago. And I said, your plan is brilliant with one exception. He said, what? What's the exception? I said, you built a perfectly good toaster, but it's not plugged in. He goes, well, what do you mean it's not plugged in? I said, if the people don't love and trust themselves, they're not going to practice these principles. It goes back to what I had just said earlier before the break. See what I'm saying? Without developing and cultivating that deep love for each other,
yes,
we're not going to practice community economics. We're going to continue to bleed money the way we do now. Peace.
All right. Excellent answer. We have another question from the audience that I want to address. Did anybody else on the panel have an answer to that question before I continue?
Like, move on.
Okay, so the next question is, why does the woman need to be conscientious in order to see change? I want to ask this sister, Healing Truth Center, did you mean to say conscious? Did you mean to say, why does the woman need to be conscious in order to see change? I want to know if that's what she meant, or conscientious. But does anybody on the panel have an answer to this question?
I'll let somebody else answer. I don't want to talk too much.
Nature
Okay.
is matriarchal in.
I'm sorry, Taj. Your mic was muted. Can you begin? She said yes. She meant to say conscious. Oh, conch. Yeah. So can you answer that?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
All right. Study nature, and by nature, organized society is a matriarchy, whether you're thinking patriarchal or not. We're talking about nature structure. Because woman has the womb, she is the first school. If woman is unconscious, it has a tendency to follow down the genetic line of the offspring. So it's vital that woman be conscious because she is the first school. The womb is the first school. This is a reason why people who really understand the operations of nature, whether they do it directly or indirectly, attack the woman, even if it sometimes seems that they're attacking her sons, because they know if they conquer the woman, they conquer the nation, because
Yes.
the nation comes from the woman. This is another reason why Rome focuses on what you call gender wars, gender bending, and things like that in order to indirectly attack the woman. Because if you attack the woman and you get her corrupted, the rest of the nation is done. Not unlike the principles that are approached in the game of chess. Even though the king and the queen makes the same principal moves,
Right.
the king can only move one to two times at the same move, and the only time the king can make a double move is when they're castling. Other than that, he goes any direction on the board, one step at a time. Where
Right.
the queen moves all the way across the board in any direction. That
Right.
presents what happens in nature. So
Mm.
if the womb is contaminated, so is the offspring. So therefore, the seed can be no greater than the mother is. Therefore, a woman should always be cognate and conscious and conscientious. I yield the floor.
Yes. Any other answers?
I'd like to touch on it. Again, you look at the cover of the holy of the Quran questionnaire, or the Moorish questionnaire.
Right.
Right.
Uplifting hope, fallen humanity.
There you go. And humanity is styled as a woman. You see what I'm saying? For many of the reasons that Brother Taj Tarik Bey just said.
Right.
Right. So the woman is the first teacher. She begins teaching the child in the womb. And a lot of teaching and instruction, some of the most profound teaching and instruction is nonverbal. It's direct. It's a Gnostic communication. It's gnosis. You see what I'm saying? So she's the first teacher. In our literature, our religious literature, right? We're literally shown Jesus and John's, the beginning of their instruction was to their mothers. See what I'm saying? Was to their mothers. So if we don't uplift the sisters, we're spinning our wheels. You know what I'm saying? We're spinning our wheels. If we don't uplift her, we're spinning.
And how do you go about uplifting her? What would be what's the 3-step?
First and foremost, if we're going to help uplift her, we have to provide solid ground for her to stand.
Okay.
We as men have to provide solid ground for her to stand.
That's
which
right.
Means we gotta be men.
So we gotta uplift us first. We have to have solid foundation.
Actual fact.
Right.
Actual fact.
Before we begin.
Gotta be men first.
Okay. And I've seen that they respond to that energy.
Yes, sir.
I haven't been shown, and I will speak on it if I've been shown that they do not respond to that energy. But every time that I've seen that energy manifest itself and show up, they have responded favorably to say, okay, that's what I was waiting for. Now what's up? What we doing?
Every single time, brother.
Every single time.
Every single time.
And I will inform the family when it changes. But as far as I've been seeing from my perspective, from my journeys and travels, they respect the gods when they in their proper persona. So thank you for that.
And I'll add this one note to it. No society can rise higher than its women. So if you
Mm,
look different cultures and societies, look at the condition of the women, and it tell you the condition of the people. So when we have our, and it's not a knock to the sisters doing anything, the Megan Thee Stallions and the Cardis and the Lottos and these different individual women who are representing our society, housewives of Atlanta, all these negative connotations of our
yes.
society as so-called black people in America. The rest of the world is looking at that and thinking that that's how we perform. And you look at the reflection of our economics as a group, no society can rise higher than its women.
Mm, good
I'll
one.
leave
Good.
it at that.
Thank you. Indeed. And my good brother, MOY, would you have some advice for a brother who wants to uplift his woman? What is two or three things that you would give that brother as a tool to utilize to uplift his woman?
Um, I, I'll say everything starts in the household. The brother needs to be the example himself, and by that I mean you be the example in any situation, right? Women respond to love, and men respond to respect.
Yes.
So that's the one thing we look for as men as respect, uh, and women look for love. So just understanding how to nurture her, um, provide her, protect those basic principles. I think once you align yourself to those basic principles, and it goes back to the Christian narrative too, about a man being the head of the household. But there's some steps you have to take in order to take that role. So I think, just getting your house in order first as a man, getting yourself together as a man. And a man can't figure himself out till he know who he is. That's the true power. And we know that the power is an illusion, but that's the true power of a man. And we have to understand what power is, because I heard the word power mentioned a couple times in this conversation. But let me define for you what power means real quick to make my point. Huey P. Newton defined power as the ability to defy phenomenon and make it act in a desired manner. That's the true power, and that's what I believe that the Most High is calling us back to as men, to restore our power, our true essence as power. And that's what most black women are attracted to: a man of power, authority, and demand. Now, this doesn't equate to economics and money and things of that nature. It's a certain essence that so-called black man, and I'm using the word black in the colloquial sense as we have this conversation, but there's a certain essence that when we appear in any aspect, we walk into a room in the Grand Sheikh, brother, for example, clean cut, shaved brother, you have a certain presence. And you ain't said nothing. You just appeared in the room. People are either threatened by you or they respect you. We have the God-given ability to walk in authority as black men, and that's what women are looking for. I, I'll end with that, but that's really what they're looking for. It's that
Give
power,
thanks.
and it's been a call to action for black men for the last 10 years to step in our rightful place as men. And men don't look the same as it looked 10 years ago. There's a different aspect to what men are now than what it was when I was growing up. I'm 42, so you know there's a different aspect. When I was growing up, men were men. They worked with their hands. They changed tires. They did all the
They
physical
built
labor.
things.
Right.
Right.
They were the builders of societies and builders of the community. And I think that has been lost, and that's what we have to get back to. In fact, with the great reset that's about to happen, they call it a crash. It's just a reset. With the great reset, we're going to be forced as men to be back in those positions as builders, and those who don't know how to do it will perish. So, to answer the question in totality, men have to learn to be men again. And a lot of women now are now agreeing. 3 or 4 years ago, You know, we were saying women were masculine and emasculating us, etc. Women are now wanting to enter what's called their soft girl era, their soft woman era, because they're tired. They're tired. They're exhausted. So
Indeed, brother.
men start being men first, and then women will automatically go back to their rightful positions.
Give thanks. All right. Do you have anybody else on the panel that wants to answer that question? Okay, we'll carry on. Next question. This will be the last question for the night. We're going on a 2.5 hour mark. And I want to say, first and foremost, it's been a pleasure to have all of these lights shining cohesively. And as a collective, the light has shined even brighter. This is like a floodlight. This is like a lighthouse now. And hopefully many more that are out there, journeying and whatnot through darkness will able to see this light, and this light will help to shine and bring, and spark the flame inside of them for them to see that there's unity amongst Moors, and there's tables that Moors build, and there's round tables where the Moors sit at, and they build and they destroy, you know what I mean? And this is something that we shall continue. So there's a question from the audience. It says, for Moors looking to upgrade the passport now, any tips to protect the Aboriginal American jurisdiction navigating the U.S. corporate contract? I want to open that up with you, Sabir, as an answer, and then I'll go to the rest of the panel. Hold on.
The mute.
There you go.
Okay, I don't know what just happened. Repeat that again, bro.
For Moors looking to upgrade the passport, are there any tips to protect the Aboriginal American jurisdiction navigating the U.S. corporate contract?
Well, I can only speak for mine. On mine, I didn't even sign the passport. On the passport that I have, it just says all rights reserved on it. It's that simple.
Okay.
Rights reserved. I don't put my signature on anything. I just put down the all rights reserved on it. That's it.
Indeed. Appreciate that. Thank you for that answer. Brother Taj?
In agreement on that principle, knowing that United States Corporation Company is actually a foreign unregistered operations coming from or being jurisdictionally operated from Fleet Street, England, under the Circle Church and Chancery. So for that protection, I agree with what Sabir said, knowing that they're really not government, but also knowing that we're under occupation. So under the rules of international law, preserving your rights and stepping, but recognizing that you're under occupation. Right. Now, as far as a further, if there's a contention whatsoever, you would deal with Constitution Treaty Enforcement, Article 3, Section 2, diversity.
Give thanks. Brother MOI? Hold on, let me see something.
I just started to look into this, but there's a special issuance diplomatic passport that I'm looking into right now, so that may be something you can look into as well. And that special diplomatic passport grants you certain immunities that a regular passport don't grant you at all. Brother Sabir may can speak more strong to that. I just got put onto this special passport maybe 3 weeks ago. I'm still looking into it, but it's a diplomatic passport that I'm looking into versus the traditional passport.
I never heard of that one, but anyway, I don't want to drag my brother Yasim into this thing, man. But it's a lot of stuff. That's a whole nother subject, Pill. But there are passports that you can. It has nothing to do with being a diplomat, but you can work for a company. There is I can't think of the name of it, but if you're working for a company,
yes,
you get a passport to go from place to place. You can do that, but you're still going to have to go through the same thing when you're going
protocol.
Yeah, you want to
protocol.
And but what is it called?
Protocol.
yeah, you're gonna have to go through the same thing. So I don't want to put misinformation out here, but I'm just saying from my experience, it's be very careful when you're traveling overseas. I'm gonna keep it 100, brother Pill. When I tell you, I went in there with a drone one day. You know, I had to leave my drone. I
Yeah.
couldn't go into Morocco because I'm thinking this is the thing that I want people to understand. Like when you're going to these places, you can talk all the smack you want, but when you step into another country, that's
Jurisdiction.
rules. That's their rules and what's happening, right?
That's right. At their gate.
My drone, bruh. Like literally at the airport. I was like, huh? But you have to know these particular places when you're traveling in here, bruh, because you can get jammed. So
Right.
when people say there's a diplomatic, what is a diplomat? What office do you work for? Who do you work for? They're going to question all these things. What nation are you representing? Who can we make the phone call to these particular people? You know what I
Right.
mean? They're not playing with you, bruh. Trust me.
Right.
I've seen what happened in customs overseas. I'm gonna be a buck. And it's not, you think you sitting in comfortable states, Jones. It's not happening, homie.
Right.
One of their Jones to see how that go.
Right.
So
Right.
we have to be very careful about that. And this is what Yassine was going through. You know what I mean? Like that whole thing, like you barely hear him talking about. He talked to me, but he barely speaks about certain things because when we saying these things, people try it and they'll, instead of you doing it, you'll tell somebody else to do it, then that person get in trouble. And then kind of try to the Moors to help you, they're nowhere to be found. And I don't try to put that out there to the masses because this thing is serious, bro. It is. So, you know.
And an interjection in support. When Drew Ali set up the old Canaanite Temple, so keep in mind that the old Canaanite Temple is a civic organization with a civic registry, and adopted as its corporate name, the Moorish Science Temple of America. However, foundationally, with Act 1 and international law, the foundation of the moderator, chairman and moderator, which would come in hierarchy with the sheiks and the grand sheiks, logically come together and use the fundamental issues of treaty and constitution established. Keep in mind, United States law of a general and permanent character already established. Article 3, Section 2, diversity is the issue, has been, for the most part, platform has always been there. We haven't necessarily always used it.
Okay. I appreciate that. Brother Sharif, do you want to add on?
Sure. I'm going to defer. I mean, I'll speak a few things briefly in support of, but I'm going to defer to what Brother Shabir just said, because we've got personal experience on a number of levels in line with what he just said. We've got a friend who was doing some of the stuff that we used to do a number of years ago. You guys remember the movie? You remember the Matrix Revolutions, the
Where
third
he was stuck
one?
in the subway?
When he was stuck in the train station, remember?
Mm-hmm.
I got a friend of mine, well, an acquaintance, not a friend, an acquaintance, who was trying to get back into the country from Australia. And this was at least 10 years ago. He's still there. He's still in limbo.
See right now, Sharif, I can name him. It's some people that, not Yassine, but he's
still in limbo. Yeah. Go ahead, bro.
He's still there?
Yeah, he's still in limbo. Like he's like literally in like the train station. You know what I'm saying? He's stuck. And he's been there for over a decade. You know? So, you know, and I'll just speak real brief to, you know, the situation with you know, and Brother Shabir, I'm sure could speak about it more detail. But what I believe, I'm pretty sure the information that came to us from his peoples, I believe what Yassine Bey was dealing with in South Africa was the document from World Service Authority. Here's the problem with World Service Authority, people. They tell you in their literature, if you want to purchase one of their so-called passports, they say it is accepted on an ad hoc basis.
Yes.
You got to understand what ad hoc means, people. You understand? That's like, I'm going to tell you what ad hoc is, bro. You going back in the days in New York City, there was a club called the Tunnel, right?
The Tunnel. Ooh.
Right. So some days you got in there with that protection on you. Some days you didn't.
Mm-hmm.
That's called ad hoc.
Yes.
You're gambling. That's what it is. You're gambling.
And that's really what it is. But and I don't want to get into him because what y'all are watching, actually that's old. I was with him in Spain at his house in Spain. I was sitting in the house with him. We spent the whole day together. And it's it's not for me to share with everybody, but he shared some stuff with me, his disappointments about what was going on. But he's good. He's cool, but that's something that happened in South Africa. And you're right. It's up to them. So you have to basically know how to maneuver and move. I'm gonna be real with you. You just have to know how to maneuver and move. Like you said, ad hoc, brother. Like it's up to them. It's up to them to say, yo, yay and nay, babe, because I'm gonna be real. I'm not gonna tell you this is 100%. So in order for me to eliminate the nonsense, yo, bro, let's do it. Like, let's keep it pushing. My stuff is smooth. Like when I go through, I'm smooth with it. It's weird to me because when I go back, they say you still live here. Like literally live over there. I got an address over there. If you punch any of my information in that computer, they will ask you. I was with my brother Percy, and we over there, and I went to go exchange money because you got to go through a whole process, so the passports, whatever. And they'll ask you, where are you going? Or they asked me, do you still live at such and such? This is exactly what they said. Is your residency still such and such and such and such? That's what they asked me. I said, damn, how did they know? It's in the computer. You see what I'm saying? So I can have an address no matter where I want to be at. You follow me? Like if I want to send something to Turkey, I can get it sent to Turkey and go pick it up. If I want to send it to Tunis, I got an address there. So all these particular places that if you stay there more than 30 days, and I want people to understand that, if you're in a particular spot for 30 days, that's your residency. That's how it is. So when I'm there, I'm creating the residency. So now I can say, for instance, I have a passport. I'm out here in California. Example, I get stopped on the blue line. The sheriff comes on the trains periodically, right? And they ask you, did you pay for your ticket? I swear I did this one day, Pill. It was so funny. The sheriff, two of them get on this train. They said, do you have ID? Of course I pull out the passport, right? Why did I put out the passport? Because it doesn't have an address on it. So now if you ask me what my address is, what you think I'm going to give you? Where I'm at now? Or I'm going to give you
the global address.
Follow me? So I just gave them an address in Alaska, even though I don't live there.
Right.
You follow me? So people have to know how to work your tools. So the passport doesn't have an address on it. You see what I'm saying? It could be anywhere. So it's even down to that new thing they got out called the Real ID Act. It's going to come.
Right.
But the weird part is, right, the Real ID Act does not supersede the passport. You follow me? So people believe in that Real ID Act is going to supersede that. And I'm going to be real with y'all. The way I don't know if you've been in the airport lately, Pill, but do you see how they got things set up?
Yeah, biogenetics is coming.
Brother, they will literally, just imagine you using a name that is not your name and you say my name is Abdul whatever, and you get to the airport and you put your finger or you got to use the scan joint and your name come out Johnson.
Right, them days are over.
Dude, it's coming.
Them days are over.
This thing is so real and I'm seeing this happen. It happened when I was in Canada. I was like, what the heck is this? Like, it's happening. But you have to, it's like anything else. I don't agree with AI, right? I don't like it, right?
Right.
But you're gonna have to adapt to that. You follow me? It's something we're gonna have to adapt to if you're willing to travel.
Right.
It's the reality that we are living in. You cannot escape it unless you just want to stay here, complain, and say, well, this is the only place I don't need to go nowhere else. No, brother, what person says that? No one says they don't need to travel. The world. That's a person that either one cannot go or they making up excuses on why. You must travel to understand and expand your knowledge. You have to do this, bro. But I'm telling you, that thing, bro, they're not playing with you with this, fam. That whole passport thing. It's a brother right now stuck in Morocco, bro. I'm gonna keep it real with you.
Nah, it be like that.
It be like that, bro. I'm gonna be real with you.
Be like that.
There's ways that you can get around that. And I told people about that. Your brother did it one time. Your brother was on a plane one time, and I ain't gonna get into that, but he can tell what he did. But there's ways around doing those things. But like you said, it's up to them.
Right.
How it to happen.
All right. So this is how we're gonna end the panel, family.
Interjection.
Okay.
What is obvious in all of our answers, back to what Grand Sheikh mentioned earlier, and it's not that answers aren't there, is that we have not been geopolitically savvy. That's all. And we need to get more geopolitically grounded. Now, when Drew Ali said enforce the Constitution, and you deal with Article 3, Section 2, you're dealing with the geopolitical enforcement principles. And I think most of us haven't paid enough attention to it. And so now that those things we're being faced with, we have to have what you call emotional, analytical opinions about something that's standard fare. And I think the other problem is that most people don't know that the United States is a private corporation. They keep thinking of it as a country. Therefore, our approach to it is that we keep approaching a subordinate admiralty jurisdiction under the corporation rather than standing on the national principle like the prophet said. Because I think a lot of times we too often keep looking at the nationality from a religious perspective rather than a geopolitical perspective, which it actually is. I yield the floor.
Give thanks. I want to end this show with book list recommendations from each one of my panelists. When you say it, just say it slow and concise. And we will have our moderators try their best to repeat or to type what it is that was said into the chat room. But we have some students in the building who are not playing. They waited for this day all their lives to see this this Voltron, this confederacy of master teachers and lights in our community. And I definitely want to give them some applicable solutions leaving here, so they could go and book, they could go and pick up some literature and really turn those lights on and really begin to feed themselves with this information, because that's one thing about the knowledge. It is the gift that keeps on giving.
Yes.
It is the gift that keeps on giving. So I'll start with you, Brother Sharif, and then we'll go to Sabir, and then we'll go to MOY, and then we'll end with the Grandmaster.
During the break, I pulled down from the bookshelf I got behind me 8 different books.
Thank you.
Of course, that one was shown already, and I mentioned it, Unknown Arrows by Dr. Tarik Berry. You definitely want that in your library. Absolutely want it in your library. All right, The Unknown Arrows.
The author is?
Yeah, Dr. Tarik Berry. That's Tariq Berry, Berry.
All right.
The subtitle of the book is called The Unknown Arabs, Clear Definitive Proof of the Dark Complexion of the Original Arabs and the Arab Origin of the So-Called African American.
Yes.
All right, next book, Dogs of God.
That's my joint. We could do a whole lecture on that, me and you.
Oh, for sure. Columbus, the Inquisition, and the Defeat of the Moors by James Reston Jr. He gives such an accurate contextual picture.
Yes, he paints a very dark picture. Yes.
It's amazing what he does. Next book, you absolutely have to have this in your library. This sister is one of the most courageous people I know. Okay? Get her book, The African and Arabian Origin of the Hebrew Bible.
Dana Reynolds.
Yeah, by Dr. Dana Marnici. Dana Reynolds Marnici.
Okay.
Yep. An ethno-historical study. She is simply brilliant. And I mean borderline idiot savant brilliant. For real. Another book that you want in your shelf, The Bloody Shirt by Stephen Budiansky. If you read this book right here, you are really going to understand Project 2025. Matter of fact, when you read this book, you're going to look at Project 2025 and be like, oh my God, All it is a Confederacy do-over.
Mm.
Shout out to Brother Wesley Muhammad. He's referred this book to me a long time ago. By Julian Baldick. It's called Black God, the Afro-Asiatic Roots of the Jewish, Christian, and Muslim Religions.
Mm.
Very powerful book. The late James Wasserman. Get this one.
Okay.
The Templars and the Assassins.
Mm-hmm.
Again, what has old world Moorish culture, a lot of the deeper stuff, the things that people were getting killed for during the Inquisition,
Right.
survived in the Western world in the secret and the occult organizations.
Right.
Get this book.
Those are the vanguards.
Yep. Get that book. This is a jewel of mine.
Africans in colonial Mexico.
Yeah. By Herman Bennett.
Okay.
An additional jewel in conjunction with this is any of the books written by our sister, Dr. Sultana Afroz.
Okay.
Sultana Afroz's work is incredible because she details historically the period between the fall of Spain and 1619.
Yes.
Okay. Her stuff is incredible. So she shows the Afro-Islamic connection of the Maroons in Jamaica.
Okay.
Right. And lastly, our good brother Rudolph Ware, Professor Rudolph Ware III.
The Walking Quran.
The Walking Quran. Islamic education, embodied knowledge, and history in West Africa. In other words,
Right.
He's talking about two different methodologies of learning. Old world methodology, your flesh has to know it.
It's embodied.
It's embodied knowledge. It's not purely intellectual.
It's living
To
knowledge.
that point, Brother Sabir Bey mentioned Ibn Rushd or Averroes. Tell you what's deep about that. Again, as you noted, Brother Red, these men were polyglots and polymaths.
Yes.
Okay.
Multi-talented.
Yeah, they weren't. Yeah. So that being said, Ibn Rushd, right, considered, listen close to this. This is deep.
This is him. All him.
Yep. He considered the study of psychology and the study of the psyche as part of physics. Why is that important? It's because this is how the West put our people to sleep. Psychology, right? Western psychology is what created the gap or the space that said the observer has no place in the process of the observed.
Right.
Why? Because the observer always affects the observed. See, that put us to sleep. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
That put us to sleep. Why? Because the preeminent tool or instrument for investigation is the human psyche.
Right. They cut that off.
See? Now, I said that to say this. I said this on a previous show, dear brother. Quantum physics, quantum mechanics, shout out to Maywan Ho, shout out to Rupert Sheldrake, shout out to David Bohm, all quantum physics specialists.
Yes.
All three agree that to cause in the realm of quanta, right, to cause a waveform to collapse into a particle. In other words, to cause a probability on the higher realms to collapse into a physical event, you need what they call a quantum operator. You know what a quantum operator is? Human consciousness, belief.
Yes.
See? Again, they put us to sleep, and that's one of the ways they did. So those are my 8. Peace.
Islam. Appreciate you. Sabir, my good brother. You have a list of books. I saw you brought a library out.
No, I really didn't. I told you it's like 4 books I'm purposely not going to talk about because I put the Unknown Arabs out, and I'm not holding anything back from people because I was telling people where to get it from. I spoke with the the brothers Peoples in his classroom. But I do have some other books. It's one of the books I'm gonna explain. I want y'all to get. And this particular brother, y'all talk about powernomics, right? If you ever read the book called the Mukaddima, and I'm gonna spell it for you, it's Muqaddimah. The Mukaddima, that means the introduction. So he has varies of books, and his books is actually in Turkey, all of them. It's not one book, but that one particular book is a very powerful book. It's before Powernomics, and it was written by a guy named Ibn Khaldun, a Muslim brother by the name of here. This is him right here, brother Red. That's Ibn Khaldun in Tunisia. And Zuckerberg was telling everybody to actually read his book too, way before.
Oh,
When I came back, I said Zuckerberg. And if you Ronald Reagan said in the video, if you punch in Ibn Khaldun and Ronald Reagan, he said, I studied this man. His name is Ibn Khaldun from Egypt. He wasn't from Egypt. He wasn't from Egypt. And this is why I tell people he was not from Egypt. He's from Tunis, from Tunisia in North Africa. But you see me at. But I'm giving y'all heads up. If you see the video, you'll hear him say, I studied this guy named Ibn Khaldun. He was talking about economics. But Ibn Khaldun, what he was doing is traveling to different places and jotting things down. So he had a book, which I bought the book this particular day. It's called The Introduction. The Introduction in Tunis. And what it was, I'm laughing at Zuckerberg. And he said, oh, the book you should read, the Mukaddima. And I'm like, huh? He's telling these dudes are reading these types of books, right? So that's one, the Mukaddima by Ibn Khaldun. And I did a lecture on it too, and I'm doing my Zoom classes on him also. But Ibn Khaldun's work is so intense, bro. You got to read it. Ibn Khaldun's work. That's one. Another one of the books is Portuguese in West Africa. This is the book I took with me to Portugal. I took this book and went to the Moorish Castle in Portugal called Portuguese in West Africa. And when I went there, I was trying to find this particular book there, but the lady was giving me a different book. But I had this book, and in this book, when you read it, it speaks about the Moors of Guinea. It speaks about, and it actually, you can look up the Moorish Castle in Portugal.
Yes.
But get this book too. It's a very good book. The person who actually by Cambridge. Portuguese.
Okay.
All right. Another book is a brother right here. We are all Moors.
Who wrote that?
I could be all day long with you with this man. I'm serious. His name is Anor, Anouar Majid. Amajid.
Yes.
That's him, right? I got another one. Another one is my brother Abdullah Hakim Quick. This is another one.
That's a good book. And the previous one is a good one as well.
Deeper Roots.
Deeper Roots. And I'm planning on going to Canada to talk to him.
Okay. Excellent.
There's another book, but I don't think people get it because it's very expensive, brother. This book is $895 now if you go on Amazon right now. This book is Moors in Spain and Portugal.
Say it again.
Moors in Spain and Portugal is $895 right now online.
Who's the author on that?
Author is called Jess Reed. I'm going to spell it for you, okay?
Yes.
Jane Reed, Janread. If you just punch in Moors, if you go right now, look it up, you'll see the price on it.
Right.
Spain and Portugal.
Good looking.
Right? But there's another one that I told people to get. And I told Taj about it earlier today. It's called Africa versus America. Now, this particular book, she passed away. She was an heiress.
Yes.
I was in Spain trying to find this book for 4 years straight. I'm not lying. 4 years straight. If you go to Amazon and punch in Africa versus America, right? You'll see the book is about $400 and something now. In Spanish, you can only get it in Spanish and English. That's it. Spanish, Spanish and Arabic, I meant to say. Let me correct that. Spanish and Arabic. It's not in English. Now, I have the English version of it, and I just wouldn't give it to everybody. It wouldn't sell it to everybody because I told Taz it's just like, because it go out there and somebody would charge, because to get it translated, it's about $800. I'm going to be real with you. I have, but the book, it's like The Needle in the Coffin, brother. It's called Africa versus Americas. But you must be careful. If you order it online, if you order the book online, it's going to be in Spanish. Believe me. So don't. It's about $4.40, I think it is, but it's in Spanish and Arabic, and it was given to the king of Morocco. So somebody in Morocco translated it to Arabic. So
Thank you, brother.
It's so hope. Okay, so
thank you.
This is another one.
The non-Jewish origins of the Sephardic Jews.
Yes,
okay,
book.
that's a good read right there.
Oh, brother,
heard about that.
Oh, if you go to Cordoba, I took this to Cordoba with me. I'm serious. It's wild, brother. So I have another one. This is a good one too, called The Crowd.
Okay.
Studied The Crowd. Hold up, I have another. What's it? It's another one. So, here you go. There's another one called The Arabs of Sudan.
Okay. Arabs of the Sudan. Okay. That's yeah.
Yo.
That's timely right there because of the genocide that's taking place in the Sudan.
Yes, correct. You would understand. And this is the one I told people to get at. You can get this at Nicholas Brooklyn. I told her to get it.
Okay. Nicholas Bookstore.
Yeah.
Unknown Arabs.
Yes. Shout out to Mo and Nicholas Brooklyn.
Shout out Monique. Yes.
Yes, I told her to get it, but this is another one called The TV Arabs.
Wow.
Dude, once you read this guy's book, he has another book. He passed away. Is a book called The Bad Arab.
The TV Arab. I like that.
Oh, dude, it's so when you read it, it's crazy. This is another book that I bought when I came back from overseas. It's called The Country of the Moors. I found this when I was in Tangiers. The original was in 1877. 1877, and it was in the litigation center in Tangiers, Morocco.
Okay.
So again, it's a lot of books. I can go on, but I'm gonna stop right here. But this is another one that I take overseas with me. This is the Moor Spain.
We gotta write some scripts. We gotta write some we gotta illustrate some of this. Too many books flying past my screen.
I know it's
turn that into some Netflix series or something. What we doing?
We're working on it right now, brother. This I just need the finances behind me. I got another one for you, right?
All right.
For the Tangier 1662 to 1680. He's talking about the Moors of Morocco.
Wow. Wow, that's thorough.
Oh, bro, I ain't even show you half the stuff.
That's just the beginning library. That's the hors d'oeuvres right there, right?
I'm telling you.
That's the pantry closet.
Brother, to go through all of these books. Oh, somebody actually just mentioned this. Hold up. Where's my Egyptian people at? Hold up. I got one. Hold up, Brother Pill. Look at this. Cairo, for all my Egyptologists, and I could do a whole lecture on this too, bro. El Fasat is what Cairo was called. You don't never hear your conscious people talking about El Fasat. So El Fasat, let me turn it upside down. This was El Fasat, the original Arab capital of Egypt, was founded in 642.
In 642.
Egypt is a modern term, bro.
Right.
Book.
Exactly.
This book I got, I had to order this from Israel. It came off Israel. I've been looking for this for 5 years, too. But now, conscious people want to have this conversation. So Cairo, because I said Kemet is Greek, Egypt is Greek, Pharaoh is Greek. So for some reason they leave that part of El Fasat out. So I'm just going to leave it right there. Y'all can email me, SabirBayRadio@gmail.com. Again, SabirBayRadio@gmail.com. If you want that Africa versus America, but everybody can't get it.
Okay. Minister of Information, my good brother.
Peace. So for check, you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So for all of my beginners out there who may not have an elaborate library, if you're just starting off, I'm gonna tell you how I started off with my studies. African Civilization by John G. Jackson, because I came up through the actual scholars in the conscious community. Destruction of the Black Civilization by Chancellor Williams. Okay. And after my African studies, basic African studies, I began to come to North American study America. So the next book will be They Came Before Columbus by Ivan Van Sertima. The next book would be The Return of the Ancient Ones by Empress Vertices. You have to have the ISIS paper by Dr. Francis Cress Welsing. I would recommend The Historical Origin of Christianity by Walter Williams. I will also recommend Christopher Columbus, The African Holocaust by Dr. John Henry Clark. And of course, you have to have the Holy Koran, More Science Simple, Divine Prepared by Noble Drew Ali. I would say those should be some standard starting literature for anybody who wants to get into the literature before you get into all the advanced reading.
Yes, I really appreciate that. Give thanks for that. All right. Hold on. Sabir, hold on a minute. Go ahead.
Can I drop this? Because I literally
you can.
I want to share this with people too, because you should really have these books too.
Yes. I remember, I don't know if you gave me that or
I probably did, but
Stanley Lane Poole.
I got a lot of them. I got a whole lot of them.
Uh-huh. Yep. Golden Age of Morse.
Yep.
Ivan Van Sertima.
Yeah. If you really studied this stuff, brother, you will understand it. So I cross-reference everything. And these books travel with me. My bag alone costs, probably $60 when I do a check bag.
Right.
What to God, bro? Every bag that I have, I literally have to check them. They pull my books out and be like, "Are you a teacher or something?"
That's right. Read that title, please.
This is Logic and Critical Thinking, an introduction for Muslim students.
For the family in the audience, I don't know if y'all realize how much wealth y'all getting right now with this book list. You feel me? This collective book list right here. This will have you with your scimitar cutting off.
Bro.
Oh man, you gonna be
that's only a fraction of the reading.
That's only a fraction of the reading. We're just getting y'all started and getting your feet wet. We do have more advanced book lists for when you're ready for it. Can you close out this book list, good brother Taj, and give the people a list of books?
The ones that I mentioned earlier is what I suggest to beginners. That'll give them grounded in order to get them mentally connected back to the land and back to proper linguistic concepts, because it's needed to go into what you call deeper geopolitical studies.
Yes, indeed.
Because remember, if they go into broader geopolitical studies with the mental Black Indian mentality locked in, their concepts will be wrong.
Right. You got to fix that.
Because you got to remember, they started calling us Indians after they came down to the islands when they couldn't take over the trade routes of Madagascar. So some people thought that America was India.
Right. Preston John.
So don't get that confused just because they called us that.
Indeed.
But in order to know the world history, you must know Moorish history. Fact. And when you even study the rules or those who have been ruling the planet, including the Europeans who rule the world now, you do a research into their resume, and all of them have studied Moorish history in order to rule the world.
That's a fact. We could stand on that.
That's why everybody plays dumb now. When these people start to get conscious, they try to minimize it.
Yes, they do.
But they know once you know Moorish history, you'll know world human history.
No doubt.
That's why they try to minimize it. Because once you know, they can't rule you anymore. Because remember, the reason they rule these people, because these people are mentally deficient. Right. That's because they've been controlling the narrative and hiding Moorish history.
Right.
Anyway, have a great evening.
You too. I appreciate every single one of you brothers. Time, can you leave the information where you could be found at from the audience before you get out of here? Any social media handles or anything that you want them to know on the way out, please.
Peace. You already know that most of the time, because I'm busy and I try to limit my put it this way, I try to limit my public contracts or
Yeah,
contacts, most of your communications will be done with me through the House of Reawakening Minds.
indeed. Thank you. Thank you, Taj.
All right, peace.
Peace and love. Islam.
Islam.
Stop, bro.
Indeed. Brother Sabir, where can they find you at? And what's your platforms and where can you be found in the social media realm?
Let me stop. No, Sabir Bey. My YouTube channel is Sabir Bey, Sabirbey. Again, Sabirbey. And the Instagram is Real Sabir Bey. Again, Real Sabir Bey on Instagram, Real Sabir Bey on X. And also my email is sabirbeyradio@gmail.com. Again, sabirbeyradio@gmail.com. And Pill, you need to get this one. Make sure it got the 900 pages, bro.
The Negro in Our History.
Carter G.
Carter G. Woodson. Okay, I got you.
This is the 900 pages, not 500 pages. Do not get that one that's 500 pages. Make sure you get the one that says the 900 pages because they took stuff out of this book.
Okay,
This,
400 pages.
yeah, they took pages out of the book, but you got to get the one that says 900.
Thank you.
No doubt.
And they're also asking for cash apps for the panel as well. So you the Moors can receive support. I do appreciate everybody for your support. Because this we don't have to say it. It is you understand that this thing is about support at the end of the day, and it can't be blind support. It has to be visible support. We can't support in words only, and neither in thought. The action is love is an action verb, and so is God. What is your cash app, Brother Sharif and Brother Sabir?
I'll let Sharif go.
Cash App is $SANAELBEY. So it's $SNIL Bay, one word.
And yours?
Mine is $SABIRBEY. Again, $SABIRBEY or Zelly and PayPal is sabirbeyradio@gmail.com. Again,
I can only do the cash app right now because
okay.
of the panel. Yeah.
Cash app is $Sabir Bey.
And good brother Taj, is there a cash app?
House of Reawakening Minds. You'll see it on the ticker tape.
Okay, House of Reawakening Minds. Thank you.
Anybody else? The brother dropped out. The brother still there, but that's brother.
I think the brother dropped out. Brother MOY. Here's the cash apps, everybody. Like I informed the family, we just had a proclamation that we celebrated yesterday. Me and Blue, being honored by the state of Georgia.
Oh, that man.
And yeah, that's definitely a day. That's a time to show your support monetarily. That's a day that people fundraise. You know what I mean? Politicians fundraise on days like that, on proclamation days.
Right.
That's when you get your treasure chest together. So because we're supported by the people and not the machine, because if the machine was cutting checks, people would be upset about it. So the people should reward us for our resilience by, showing love, showing appreciation, and showing that you have, because I promise you, the day y'all see them people cut a check, y'all gonna be in your feelings. And the question would be, well, I got the receipts. What did you ever add on? So
right.
You do have your opportunity to be legends. We showed up and we gave y'all what we came to do. So, return the favor, show love, even if it's $1 to the teachers, let them know that they are appreciated. That means if anything, that's the most important thing to me in this journey moving forward, is that appreciation is shown for the works, not when we're gone, not when something happens bad, when we are living and breathing. You know what I'm talking about? That's when we know humanity will be truly uplifted, when man is able to look past the evils, those jealous emotions of jealousy, envy, and hate, lack, and things of that nature, and begin to do right to the do-righters, because it appears that those that do wrong still get your support and they still get rewarded. So let's change the tides and give the energy and place it and put it in places where it belongs, because you know it's good karmatically,
for sure.
And I don't want to be a preacher, but I stand on what I stand on, and I'm adamant and I'm passionate about appreciating and supporting your people, not looking around over your shoulder saying, was he talking to me or you?
Right. Exactly.
All right, y'all. And with that being said, love and light to the family. We're gonna end it on the Purple Pillar R&B slow jam song.
Yes, sir.
Peace, y'all. We'll see you on Sunday with the good brother Sharif. We in class, y'all. It's going up.
Have a red, blue, purple light. Red, blue, purple light. Friends, facts. Red, blue, purple light. Friends, red and blue, purple light. Friends, facts. You can get to know the legend. Sacrilegious Sunday to melanin Monday. Red, blue, purple light. Friends, red, blue, purple light. Friends, facts. Red, blue, purple light. Friends, red and blue, purple light. Friends, facts. You can get to know the legend. Sacrilegious Sunday to melanin Monday. You can get to know the legend. My love, just open your third eye on Thursday. Lord, the food, the art, the clothes, the Vatican's getting exposed fast. We put the show on the road. You better stay on your toes. I was till the land focused on the ego. Then I opened my heart, let go of the ego. Grand after grand, we're stacking up these C notes. Facts, facts, yeah. We gon' put this shit on our backs. Facts, facts. We in your city, pull up where we at. Facts, facts. Peace, love and light. Peace, love. To the family, peace, love, and light. To the family, peace, love, and light. To the family.
These days and time, black man, is going to be the time that you have been waiting for. You came here for a reason. Whatever pressure, whatever adversity, whatever the fuck you feel, I don't know what you feel, but whatever you may be feeling is going to push you, and it's going to provoke you, and it's either going to make you or break you, similar to how pressure busts pipes or the shit makes diamonds.
To this day.